News is happening now.
Look at what's making headlines around the world.
We're coming on the air with breaking news.
This is a significant moment.
Whenever it happens, wherever you are, NBC News, streaming free now.
Hi, everybody. Good morning. Welcome to Today.
We are going to start with some good news.
Doesn't it just feel good to be back to school?
It does.
Yes. This is so healthy.
Here's what's happening in York. The crowd is ready. SG, you ready?
Refresh and reorganize for fall.
Start today.
These are our missing daughters and sons.
We need anyone who saw something to come forward.
She was wearing a black jacket, a black top.
I'm going to bring my son home alive.
Dateline, Missing in America. Listen to the full season now.
For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
These are our missing daughters and sons.
We need anyone who saw something to come forward.
She was wearing a black jacket, a black top.
I'm going to bring my son home alive.
Dateline, Missing in America. Listen to the full season now.
Hallie Jackson Now. Weekdays at 5 on NBC News Now.
Every pet is different. The one thing they have in common is you. The need to find not just a home, but family. Whether you adopt or donate, you can help clear the shelters. Visit cleartheshelters.com for more information.
These are our missing daughters and sons.
We need anyone who saw something to come forward.
She was wearing a black jacket, a black top.
I'm going to bring my son home alive.
Dateline Missing in America. Listen to the full season now.
Live from Ukraine, from Uvalde, Texas, from Mayfield, Kentucky. To cover the news, you have to be in it. This is how so many towns and cities are protecting themselves. You can actually see they're pushing the gates open. Was there a school officer on campus? That's what we've been told. No. Do you remember any tornado as bad as this one? You look at this and you're thinking, we're not going to have power for weeks, if not months. Exactly. Every night, it's your news playlist.
Top Story with Tom Yamas. Weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
News is happening now.
Look at what's making headlines around the world.
Right now on Morning News Now.
We're coming on the air with breaking news.
And this is a significant moment.
Whenever it happens, wherever you are, NBC News, streaming free now.
You open the door for so many people.
I love working with people. I did not do any of this by myself.
Hello! Lizzo, you put a smile on every single face.
It feels like Christmas or my birthday or something.
Let's go. This is a critical choke point for this fire. And good evening from New Orleans. Nice to really spend some time with you. Appreciate
from Ukraine, from Uvalde, Texas, from Mayfield, Kentucky. To cover the news, you have to be in it. This is how so many towns and cities are protecting themselves. You can actually see they're pushing the gates open. Was there a school officer on campus? That's what we've been told. No. Do you remember any tornado as bad as this one? You look at this and you're thinking, we're not going to have power for weeks, if not months. Exactly. Every night, it's your news playlist.
Top Story with Tom Llamas. Weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
News is happening now.
Look at what's making headlines around the world.
Right now on Morning News Now.
We're coming on the air with breaking news.
And this is a significant moment.
Whenever it happens, wherever you are, NBC News, streaming free now.
For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
These are our missing daughters and sons.
We need anyone who saw something to come forward.
She was wearing a black jacket, a black top.
I'm going to bring my son home alive.
Dateline Missing in America. Listen to the full season now.
Today is now a podcast available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Hallie Jackson Now. Weekdays at 5 on NBC News Now.
Oh, he's so excited.
She's like, I just want to party. It's okay.
So cute. Here's the leash. Oh. Oh, so cute.
Good dog. Sweet, that's not gonna hurt you. You're such a sweetie. Look at you. Good job. Congratulations.
No, go buy your pants.
Yep.
Oh my goodness gracious. What a little cute.
It's been a big year for pets with adoption numbers skyrocketing. That's led to a lot of questions.
Here with answers, Dr. Brett Levitsky, the Chief Medical Officer at Veterinary Emergency Referral Group in Brooklyn. Dr. Levitsky, good to see you.
Hey.
Thanks for being here.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Hey, so we've asked our viewers to send in their video questions. So we want to start with Neve and her dog, Archie. And here's her question.
How much exercise should my dog get on a hot day?
So we know temperatures are at highs all across the country. I mean, it is brutally hot. So what do you tell Neve, Dr. Levitsky?
So this is an excellent question, and I'm really glad that she asked it, especially for Archie. Dogs need exercise. We know that. They love to go outside and play. But as the temperatures rise, we need to decrease the length and intensity of their activity. If not, we run into the risk of heat stroke. That means in the heat of the day, you want to avoid going out and running and jumping and playing. Go for your longer walks in the morning and the evening when it's a little bit cooler. If you can find a patch of grass to run around on, that's better. And if you can find some shade, that's even better. In the city here, it's a little bit difficult because we have a lot of pavement. If you have to take your dog out, you should limit it to short walks so they can go and do their business and then come back in. They even sell little booties for their feet.
Booties, that's a good idea. Our next question comes from our booker, Stephanie's kids, Jordan and Cameron, who have a 12-week-old puppy, Sammy. Take a look.
We know he's teething, but how can we make him stop biting us?
That's good. Do you have any healthy and safe deterrents from puppy biting?
That is a great question. My brother and his family had gotten a puppy and asked me the same question. So we have to remember that puppies will chew and bite for a couple different reasons. One is that they're teething. So if we can provide a puppy-safe toys, such as this one that Molly had brought in today, that gives them an alternative to chewing on your hands or clothes or your shoes, that would be great. The other reason they chew is that's how they play with their siblings and their mom. But when they get a little rough and they bite a little too hard, their mom or their siblings will let out a high-pitched yelp. So when they get to that point with you, you can do the same. Let out a little yelp or a little high-pitched ow. Also giving them a little timeout when they get too rambunctious. You can stand up, put your hands in your armpits, and just give them a moment to settle down. What you don't want to do is yell at them because these are natural things that they're doing. And you just want to give them an avenue where they can expend a lot of energy. So if they're getting rambunctious, take them outside to play.
All right. Now, we're coming up on the end of summer. A lot of folks squeezing those last-minute vacations. Our writer, Matt, his wife, Kristen, are heading on their first vacation without their pup, Indy.
We were wondering if she might have more fun at a doggy daycare, or should we find a pet sitter so she can stay home where we know she'll be comfortable?
That's a great question.
That is.
And what about for dog owners and for cat owners as well out there, Doc?
So this really is a great question, and it really is dog dependent. Dogs have different personalities. So if your dog is very social, loves being around other dogs, very energetic, then you should absolutely look for a boarding facility because then they will get to interact with other dogs. And there are many facilities that have swimming pools and large yards for them to run in. If your dog is a little bit more shy and isn't the life of the party and doesn't like to spend time with other dogs, then perhaps having a pet sitter come in walk them so they can stay in their own home, in their own environment. That's for the best. The third category that we can't forget about are the dogs that have underlying medical conditions and they require daily medications. You should speak to your veterinarian about possibly boarding at their facility so they can get the care they need. And I certainly didn't forget about our feline friends. Cats can be a little bit more independent. They're not looking to go socialize and party with other cats they don't know. So certainly having a pet sitter that will come in a few times a day, spend some time with them in their own environment where they can play and be fed. That's by far and away their preference.
All right, we have a question. Do we have time to squeeze in one more?
Let's just ask, Doctor, really quickly, folks going back to work, kids going back to school, these pets are so used to folks being around all the time. What do you do?
So you have to disassociate the negative aspect of you leaving. Dogs are pack animals. You're the most important part of their pack. So if you give them something positive and desensitize the negativity of you leaving, for instance, they have puzzle toys that you can put treats in or cream cheese or what have you. If you leave that toy with them as you're leaving, that's a positive that they associate with you leaving. The important thing is when you come back, you should take that toy away so they know that that's very special for when you leave the house. So it takes away some...
That might be one of the best tips I've heard.
In fact, you could probably use that with your kids.
Listen, or you can just leave me with some cream cheese. I'll be fine.
There you go. That's a whole nother story. Dr. Levitsky, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
NBC News, streaming free now.
You open the door for so many people.
I love working with people. I did not do any of this by myself.
Hello! Lizzo, you put a smile on every single face.
It feel like Christmas or my birthday or something.
Hallie Jackson Now. Weekdays at 5 on NBC News Now.
Let's go. This is a critical choke point for this fire. And good evening from New Orleans. Nice to really spend some time with you. Appreciate
Hi, everybody. Good morning. Welcome to Today. We are going to start with some good news.
Doesn't it just feel good to be back to school?
It does.
This is so healthy.
Here's what's happening in York.
The crowd is ready. SG, you ready?
Refresh and reorganize for fall.
Start today.
Now Tonight with Joshua Johnson. Streaming weeknights at 8 on NBC News Now.
All right, so if you've got a furry friend at home who's maybe a little too furry, you might want to check out this.
Yeah, and we're not talking about our husbands. Donna got up with one of the country's top dog groomers, Jess Rona.
Yes, you could say Jess is one of Hollywood's hottest hairstylists. So I asked her to share some of her best dog grooming tips as she embarks on her new reality competition show, Hot Dog. Take a look.
Let's talk haircut. I want to see something fun and funky. Have fun with it, but I'll be watching.
Jess, I'd like to start off with a quote Katy Perry said about you. She said, Jess Rona is to dogs as Vidal Sassoon is to the bob cut.
I mean, it's still so surreal. I cannot believe that she said that.
As an A-list dog groomer, Jess Rona is making the pups of Tinseltown a little more glam. But her life in La La Land started out a little differently.
I wanted to be an actress and pursue that, and I was like, oh, well, maybe I could bathe dogs and also pursue acting. And so I just started to bathe the dogs. I was lucky enough to have mentors train me over the years. And, 20 years later, here I am. It's crazy.
What was the moment where you turned that side hustle into a booming business?
It came when I started making these videos of dogs blowing in the wind in slow-mo to music. And it really honestly happened at a low moment in my life. I got fired from a job, and I was just kind of like, I need a creative outlet. I was blow drying a Pekingese named Noodle, and her ears flew up in the air right as the music hit, and I was like, oh, this is a moment.
Jess took that moment and ran with it. She started her own grooming business in 2014 and now has nearly 200,000 Instagram followers. And the once aspiring actress is now executive producer and star of the new HBO Max reality show, Hot Dog.
I think she's a star.
Oh, she is definitely a star.
Yeah, great job.
Thank you.
So Hot Dog is a joy-filled grooming competition show where in each episode, 3 groomers go compete to win the best in show, which is $10,000. It's a lot of fun and it spreads joy to the world. And that was our big goal in making this show.
What is the craziest look you've ever given a dog?
I dyed an entire dog a sunset before. It's vegan dye. Dye for dogs is basically like conditioner with pigment in it. There's no smell. It's not like human dye at all.
You give a lot of hygiene tips. What are the areas you think that people should focus on?
Dental is number 1, because if your dogs do not get regular dental cleanings, or at least get their teeth checked regularly, it could lead to huge problems. It could lead to infection, heart problems. If your dog will let you, just hook your finger in their lip, and that way you can take a look at their back teeth, or just take them to the vet.
So we asked our viewers what questions they had for Jess.
So Beth wrote in about having trouble trimming the fur on the underside of her pup's paws. What tips do you have for Beth?
That looks like a doodle. For trimming the paws, I highly recommend investing in a pair of cordless clippers. Just skim over the top of the pads. Your dog needs a little fluff in there to protect their feet when they go for walks. And I'm going to take my finger and just feel inside his pad and just make sure there's nothing in there.
So Emily wrote, we give him baths at home and brush him. Is there anything else we should do to keep his coat shiny and healthy?
Oh, that looks like a beagle mix. I would say condition him when you bathe him. I would do a leave-in conditioner on him. Use a de-shedding tool if he sheds, which would help promote some new hair growth.
What are some tips you can give people who are grooming their dogs at home?
Learn all about brushing your dog and just kind of make it into a ritual.
Brush your dog while you're watching Hoda and Jenna.
Yeah, that could be your ritual.
Another tip from Jess, when brushing your dog, put them up on a yoga mat or a towel so they're not slipping around.
Oh, that's smart.
Yeah.
That's good. That's all good advice.
Hi, everybody. Good morning. Welcome to Today. We are going to start with some good news.
Doesn't it just feel good to be back to school?
It does. Yes. This is so healthy.
Here's what's happening in York. The crowd is ready. SG, you ready?
Refresh and reorganize for fall.
Start today.
Top Story with Tom Llamas. Weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
Hi, everybody. Good morning. Welcome to Today. We are going to start with some good news.
Doesn't it just feel good to be back to school?
It does.
Yes. This is so healthy.
Here's what's happening in York. The crowd is ready. SG, you ready?
Refresh and reorganize for fall.
Start today.
You open the door for so many people.
I love working with people. I did not do any of this by myself.
Hello! Lizzo, you put a smile on every single face.
It feel like Christmas or my birthday or something.
Hallie Jackson Now. Weekdays at 5 on NBC News Now.
News is happening now.
Look at what's making headlines around the world.
Right now on Morning News Now.
We're coming on the air with breaking news.
And this is a significant moment.
Whenever it happens, wherever you are, NBC News, streaming free now.
Now that looks like a fast dog. Is that faster than a greyhound?
Well,
if you put him in a race, who would come in first? If you had a little jockey on him going. Let me ask you this. If you're going to put him on a football team, which would be your wide receiver, which would be your tight end? Who can go the farthest, the fastest?
Well, I don't know any dogs that play football.
That's a great one.
Ed Willard was the best in that
I'm
movie.
going to rewatch that one. That's a good one.
He was playing Joe Garagiola. It was so fantastic.
That's what we call classic Best in Show, by the way. We played that for you, get you ready for our next story.
All right, so here it is. So there's a new study out, and it suggests that a dog's breed actually has very little to do with its behavior. So NBC's Gotti Schwartz joins us with details on this study. Hey, Gotti.
Hey, good morning, guys. Yeah, if you did all kinds of research on different dog breeds, trying to figure out which might be the best fit for your family, well, this new study kind of suggests that you might as well have been chasing your own tail, because scientists now say breed doesn't really have that big of a bearing on the personality of your puppy.
They're stereotypes that are a little rough to shake off. Marley and me's loving lab, the loyal lassie, or Legally Blonde's little chic chihuahua.
Hi, I'm Elle Woods, and this is Bruiser Woods, and we're both Gemini vegetarians.
But a new study looking at over 18,000 dog owner surveys and DNA sequencing of over 2,000 of those dogs suggests you can't judge a pup by its breed.
You shouldn't be putting all of these expectations on a dog just based on what its breed is.
It's almost like don't be a breedist.
I wasn't going to go there, but you can.
Dr. Eleanor Carlson is a geneticist at the University of Massachusetts Chan Medical School, and her team found breed type only accounts for 9% of canine behavior, and factors like sex, age, and environment have a stronger pull on dog personality, which might explain why even big dogs want to be loved like the little ones.
That almost sounds a lot like the dog version of nature versus nurture.
And we say this percentage of it seems to have something to do with genetics, and then we call everything else environment. And so the best we can really say based on our data is that it doesn't seem like there's a big genetic contribution.
So we had to do a doggy beach outside of LA and found two chihuahuas, Tooth and Bean, that couldn't have been more different. Their owners say the study makes sense to them.
Each dog is an individual just like humans are.
And then we met this very good girl, California, who stole the show with her tricks.
Good girl, Callie, come.
Do you think there's a big difference between different breeds of dogs?
I think so. Like, I found that my golden is really mellow.
But California's cousin Maverick definitely lived up to the name.
So we thought he'd be very similar because, you know, goldens, but he's crazy.
Scientists say the reason, at the end of the day, even though they look different, dogs are all really the same species, and most modern-day breeds only date back 150 years, a blink of an eye on the evolutionary timeline. And now new findings to give us pause about the way we think of our best four-legged friends.
Okay, now, full disclosure on the question a lot of you might be asking at home. We wanted to know too, and yes, Dr. Carlson is a cat person. She says she has 3 cats. She's actually never owned a dog in her entire life, but she also points out that makes her even more objective in that research, and of course she made sure that there were dog people on her team as well.
Good job.
Gotti, thank you. All right, here we go. Joining us is a professional dog trainer. His name is Tom Davis, along with some furry friends. So, Tom, okay, we heard the study. Hey, guys, we heard the study, and that's one thing. But you're actually with dogs in practice.
Every day.
Did what the survey, the new study showed, does that line up with what you've seen day in and day out?
Yeah, I think absolutely. We talk a lot about nature versus nurture.
Yeah.
Right? I've seen some dogs go for some really bad situations into really good situations, and their owners come out on top because of their nurture to the dog.
So it's nurture, okay.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about the personalities and that nature versus nurture. Give me the percentage, like what plays in.
Well, I think it's a huge percentage. I always tell people, you're gonna get a German Shepherd, and that German Shepherd may be different from the next one that you see, but the German Shepherd's always gonna be a big dog.
Okay.
So when we talk about the different genetics and the behavior, that may vary, but the size is gonna stay the same for the most part.
Good question. You know, so many people talk about breeds, but what other things should you be looking for when it comes to personality of a dog?
Just like Hoda and I were just saying, it's a lot about the size of the dog, the exercise of the dog.
Okay.
So if you get a Great Dane, the difference of the Great Dane may be different from the other Great Dane, but it's still going to be a huge Great Dane.
Whereas Gatsby here is perfect for
Exactly. It's always going to be a small dog.
You know, what can we do as owners as we all try to wrangle these pets here to make them more friendly? I noticed this one, Freya, it is friendly. It seems to love Craig's jeans for some reason. I don't know why. How do we make sure that they're friendly throughout?
Well, the most important thing is start training early. One of the biggest mistakes I see a lot of people make is they wait for there to be a problem.
Yeah.
And I always tell people, as soon as you get your dog, start the training process early. That's the most important thing. Started off early.
Okay.
Okay. This is Stevie, named after Stevie Nicks.
Stevie Nicks.
She's got a great personality.
Stevie's making Craig.
Bye.
She loves you.
Stevie is in
Come on,
charge.
Stevie.
I see that.
Look at Stevie, good girl.
We'll have to sign him up for training.
Look at Craig.
That's it.
Bye.
Wait, there's a loose dog.
You got one more?
Yeah, just curious. So, a lot of us go to an animal shelter.
Yeah.
And we want to do the right thing.
Yeah.
How do you deal with not knowing about your dog's background?
Well, again, like the study shows, it's really about each dog is going to be different. So again, I think a lot of dogs get a bad persona or bad rap because of maybe previous breeding or something like that. But what you're looking for is you're looking to give a shelter dog an opportunity for success. So you're looking for the size of the dog and, of course, how much exercise that dog's going to need. So you're looking for making sure you're compatible with the dog and your family is as well.
This is Chicken.
Chicken is ready to fly out of the coop here, I think.
Yes.
Hey, this has been a great segment, Tom.
Hey, man.
Tom, thank you for all you do.
Thanks for having me back. Appreciate it.
So we're in the dog days of summer, and we want to keep our pups and cats safe in the heat outdoors.
Oh, I'm here with little Magnolia. Here's what you need to know. We're here with Mark Peralta, the Chief Program Officer at Best Friends Animal Society. Welcome, Mark.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, so tell us, we have Magnolia climbing up my,
That's
and
what
I want to
kittens
say
do.
before we even start, all of these animals are adoptable.
Yes.
So if anyone wants to tune in now and they need a home. All right, so let's start. How do we keep our pets cool over the summer? It's super hot out.
I think the first thing that you should do is understand when your pet is overheating. So there's signs of overheating, not one of these, but multiples of these. So if you're seeing, first off, heavy panting, that's probably not super unusual for those of us that have dogs.
Right.
But cats also pant as well. Dry, bright red gums. Thick drool,
Right.
Vomiting, diarrhea, wobbly legs. If you're having combinations of these, it's a warning sign.
So obviously you want to keep them cool, but you also have to keep them hydrated, just
Yes.
like us. Hydration is really important.
Hugely important, and there's things that you can do. I think it's good to know that if water's a little too warm, a lot of pets won't drink it. So you really want to make sure that you're keeping bowls in shaded areas, or you can do something like this. This is just an example of a frosted bowl where you can keep you actually have products that help you keep your water cool and fresh, and that's really important in the summer.
Is there an amount of water, like per size, that they should be drinking?
I mean, they'll always drink kind of differently. If you're noticing they're not drinking at all, that's a warning sign. Also, if you have little pools, and we're going to get to that in a minute, sometimes pets can drink too much too, so you want to monitor it, but not really. And you just want to make sure that you're keeping it fresh too, so it's not all day or the same water every day.
Okay.
All right, moving on here. So we also have, because you don't really think about, can we address what happened to Magnolia?
Yeah, Magnolia
you were wearing
was not,
Magnolia, and now Magnolia's disappeared.
I gave Magnolia back because I felt like she was a little TV shy. So,
there you go. You want some action.
Okay, so tell us in the meantime. Yeah.
You know, you never think about paws. And in New York City, the sidewalk gets so hot, and you see people walking their dogs with these, and they look ridiculous, but they actually do work.
Yeah, I mean, this is the most important thing to me. Hot surfaces are really bad for pets, and it can be sand or it's pavement. So not every pet will wear booties, but a lot of them will, and it's just one of the many things. But a really good tip, if you go outside, put your hand down for 10 seconds. If it's uncomfortable or you can't do that, it's too hot for your pet.
If you couldn't walk barefoot on it, they can't.
And if you're like Jill, can you get these by Gucci? Is there any? Are there
Very
varieties in every shape and color.
Okay.
All right, now moving on, very playful.
Yes.
Moving on to sunscreen. I didn't know this to put, and these are just some examples, to put sunscreen on your pets.
No idea.
Again, it just depends. So one of the things that people usually think of in summer is shaving their pets down. Don't ever do that. It helps protect them from the sun. But some pets have white fur or thin fur, so just like us, they can sunburn. What you want to do, like any pet, you never know how they're going to react, their skin's going to react. So maybe take a dabble, put it down. But here's some examples of different things. But there is pet sunscreening, and it's good to do.
We'll meet Ukrainians who are defending their country one block at a time. When you were still in Kiev, could you hear the bombing? My name is Lester. Hey, who's this?
NBC News, streaming free now.
What do you love about fatherhood?
The chaos,
and learning.
Is climate change one of your top priorities?
What's your message to girls who want to make a difference in their own communities?
Believe in yourself.
We'll meet Ukrainians who are defending their country one block at a time. When you were still in Kiev, could you hear the bombing? My name is Lester. Hey, who's this?
NBC News, streaming free now.
Welcome back to Today. We got a lot to celebrate on this Wednesday morning. It's good to have you along with us.
You don't know when your moment's coming, but when it does, you take it.
Everybody's good, and that's it.
News is happening now.
Look at what's making headlines around the world.
We're coming on the air with breaking news.
This is a significant moment.
Whenever it happens, wherever you are, NBC News, streaming free now.
We got a group of dog owners. Their adorable pups are here, along with a professional dog trainer, Tom Davis. Tom is sharing some expert training and tips and tricks. Tom, good morning. Good morning to you. How are you? Good to see
Great.
you.
Good to see you.
So I'm here with Tessa, and she's got the sweetest puppy named Arbor. And Arbor, how old is Arbor?
She's almost 4 months old.
4 months old. So what is your question?
My question is, how do I get Arbor to stop chewing on something
Chewing on things, yes.
that I want her to not chew on?
Yeah, I think, puppy chewing is natural. They're teething, they're going through, and they just came from a group of puppies. So they chewed on each other, they rolled each other over.
Yeah.
So when they come and live with humans, they're like, what do I do?
Yeah.
So the most important thing is teaching the drop command.
What's that?
Teaching the dog how to drop something out of their mouth. So if they have something, how do we teach them to let it go?
So how do you do that?
So let's see what we can do. Let's see if we can get Arbor into something here.
It's gonna happen.
We got a little
We're doing
toy.
it. Okay, let's see.
Arbor, what do you think of this? And Arbor's a little stimulated right now.
Arbor's seeing lots of pups.
Good.
Yeah.
So what we want to do is we want to teach the drop command.
Okay.
So right now she has something that's very excitable, which is food.
Yeah.
And what we're going to do is we're going to start saying, Arbor, get it on the food. Arbor, drop, drop. Yes, good. And then you just transfer to something else.
Ah.
Now, if this was at home and it was a sneaker, a couch, a toy.
Yeah. How about your tone, though?
That's
You're
how
like,
you do
drop
it.
it. You don't go,
Yeah.
drop it.
Yeah.
You say, drop it.
Exactly. What
Nice. You say it nicely.
Yeah, you want to say it as neutral as possible.
Okay.
As
What do you
neutral
think?
as possible.
That's
gonna try?
Yep, she's treat driven, so that'll work for her.
Okay, sweetest little puppy ever.
Yeah.
All right, thanks.
Transfer,
Let's move on
absolutely.
down to
Hey,
Carter.
Tom, I want to introduce you to Carter, one of our rock star producers here at the show. And what's your puppy's name again?
Reggie Miller McKay.
Reggie Miller McKay.
Wow, it's a
Yeah,
mouthful.
well, they're from Indiana, big fans. So, what can Tom help you with?
So Reggie's just over 1.5 years old. As you can see, he still has a lot of puppy energy, so we've been trying to work on calm greetings. He gets very excited still.
Yeah. So all dogs are going to be excited, you know, when they see new people, when they get stimulated. A lot of people, what they do is they set the dog up for failure. So what you want to do is when people come over, guests, friends, family, the Today Show, whatever, people get excited. They come, Reggie, how are you? And he's like getting excited. So guest management, telling people, hey, we're in training. What I'd like you to do is just be calm when you come in. Because, of course, if I came in here going crazy, you guys would all be like, what's going on with this guy?
So it's not about the puppy,
Right.
it's about the okay.
Yeah,
All
so
right.
I call it guest management. So when people come over, just be calm. And so what I want to do is kind of demonstrate what normally people would do. And if you guys want to do it, maybe you and Hoda
Well,
can
tell
do
me
it.
what you want me to do.
Yeah, just get excited to the dog and just there you go.
Reggie,
Perfect.
Reggie.
So then what you want to do is just use your leash pressure, and then we have some rewards here. So if he jumps up, all we're going to do is we're going to give him a little pressure. Try it one more time.
Reggie, right here. Yes, I know. You're a good puppy. You're a good puppy. Okay.
Good. So then right when he sits just like this, you give him a little bit of food. So using your leash in the house. Everyone thinks the leash is outside. The leash is your communication.
Okay.
Dogs don't speak English. They speak, leash.
Right.
Okay.
Did you get all that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Carter, you got it?
Reggie, did you get all that?
All right.
Reggie's like,
Good job, Reggie.
I think Carson's got some.
All right, hey Tom, this is Ricky.
Carson, what's up?
Ricky, tell us about Mesmer.
Yeah, this is Mesmer. He's a 4-month-old Australian cattle dog. And our question is around healing and just walking nicely on a leash. So I was wondering what tips you had around that.
Yeah, so what a lot of people want to do is they want to go out and act like there's a huge problem on the leash, and of course that's going to make things worse. So what you want to do is make sure that you're in charge, right? Shoulders are straight, eyes are forward, and we're going forward. So he's with you, you're not with him. So if you want to try to demo it just right here, so shoulders straight, eyes forward. If you're both looking at each other, who's driving? Look forward, don't run into the wall. Go ahead, heel. So heel.
on,
And of
man.
course, the heel, you guys, is essentially the dog walking at your heels.
Oh, is that
Yeah,
what
there
it is?
you go.
I didn't know that.
Little tip there for you. Good, and you're gonna swing around. So just swing around, good.
Okay.
Hey, miss.
And then
Heel.
stop. Good, and then back over, yeah.
What's a brake command?
The brake command is huge. So when we ask a dog to do something, just like all of us who go to work, we want to make sure that they have a brake command. So brake is essentially the dog having a brake. Everyone thinks that if you teach your dog how to walk nicely on a leash or you teach your dog how to heel, that they should do it the whole time, and that's not realistic or fair. Everyone has to take a break. So we want to make sure that when Mesmer's healing, we also want to have a cue or a behavior to say, okay, break, and then we give a dog an opportunity to be a dog or a puppy.
Sweet. All right.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well,
Thank
that's
you.
some good stuff there, guys. Thank you.
The answers come when you need them most. Ooh, let it go. The Today Show's newest fan.
Little Al Roker.
What am I doing here? This is your moment.
Smells so good.
Oh, it smells like pastry. What are you doing? Can we not put your face in the dough? I'm glad it's just us eating it.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to Dylan Dishes, Cooking with Cal. I can't wait to take a look back at some of my favorite Cooking with Cal segments and offer just a few of those tips and tricks that didn't quite make it into the original episode. In today's episode, we are all about apples. Everyone in my family loves apples, and I use them in so many different recipes in so many different ways. Just ask Ollie. I love taking the boys apple picking. I don't know why. It ends up being one of the most stressful days. Somebody has to go to the bathroom, somebody's hungry. There's no parking because the apple orchards are so crowded outside of New York City, but I am determined to always take the boys apple picking. I just think it's fun. Once you kind of go along that row and there's nobody else around for a little while and you pick the best apples, you kind of sneak a bite here and there. And the best part is I make so many different things with apples that I love bringing a big bushel of apples home and just seeing what we can do with them. For anyone else who went apple picking recently, here are 2 easy ways to use up all those apples. First up, my crunchy apple salad. Cal has a list of the ingredients you'll need for this recipe.
So let's go through the ingredients, okay? What's in our apple salad?
Apple. And zucchini.
Try again, not zucchini.
Salad?
So close.
Celery.
Celery. And what are these? I think you know.
Cranberry.
You've been snacking on those since we started. Do you know what this is?
A nut.
It's a walnut.
Walnut.
And then you know this one.
Yogurt.
Lots of vanilla yogurt. So this apple salad is a perfect after-school snack. It's a good breakfast. It's just a good all-around nice healthy alternative. How's the yogurt doing? Do you want a spoon? Gross. You want to help me with the apple? Let me cut it up into a smaller piece for you. You are actually eating all of my ingredients.
No, not that many.
Chop it up nice and small. You're doing a lot more eating than cooking. What's your favorite fruit?
Apple. I'm throwing it because it's really hard.
While you do that, I'm going to chop up the celery.
Okay.
I like to make the celery really small.
Why?
So that it's not too hard to chew.
Oh.
So Kel, when I was little,
Yeah?
I used to eat this all the time, every single morning for breakfast.
Was that a long time ago?
It was a long time ago. Even when I first moved to New York, I used to eat it all the time, every morning for breakfast.
Really? That's weird. Mix it up.
Yeah, mix it all together. All right, what should we put in next? How about some of these?
Yeah, sure.
Sprinkle those all in there?
I can pour it.
Okay. Perfect. And now let's chop these up a little smaller. Just rock your knife back and forth. Look at how small I made these.
Whoa.
So now we got all our ingredients in here, right? And here's the fun part. There you go.
that this is the medium one or the biggest one?
What, bowl or spoon?
Spoon.
That's the small one.
I have to lick it off.
Did you have to lick it off?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, because there's yogurt on it.
So you can add as much yogurt as you want. It's not really a measurement here. It's more just once everything is all nice and combined. Sometimes I'll add blueberries in
Oh, I
here.
have to lick it off.
Oh.
I just eat it off.
So that's it. Super simple, right? I usually make a big bowl of this and then just scoop it out in the morning, or you can divvy it up into little Tupperware containers, and it's good to go as a grab-and-go snack.
Are we done?
That's it. That's all we have to do.
Are you gonna taste one?
I'm gonna taste one too.
A taste test?
It's a taste test.
What spoon should I use? Is it healthy?
It's very healthy.
Up next, we are taking apples from sweet to sweeter with one of my favorite fall treats, apple dumplings with a homemade caramel sauce. You don't want to miss this.
What do you love about fatherhood?
The chaos, the learning. Is climate change one of your top priorities?
What's your message to girls who want to make a difference in their own communities?
Believe in yourself.
You open the door for so many people. I love working with people. I did not do any of this by myself.
Hello! Lizzo, you put a smile on every single face.
It feels like Christmas or my birthday or something.
Hi, everybody. Good morning. Welcome to Today. This is so healthy. Doesn't it just feel good to be back to school?
It does.
Start today.
These days, it feels like the news never stops. So let's get into it. What's happening right now, what it all means for you for an hour every day. It can be hard to keep up, so let's get started together.
Hallie Jackson Now, weekdays at 5 on NBC News Now.
We'll meet Ukrainians who are defending their country one block at a time. When you were still in Kiev, could you hear the bombing? My name is Lester. Hey, who's this?
You open the door for so many people. I love working with people. I did not do any of this by myself.
Hello! Lizzo, you put a smile on every single face.
It feels like Christmas or my birthday or something.
Hi, everybody. Good morning. Welcome to Today.
We are going to start with some good news.
Doesn't it just feel good to be back to school?
It does.
Yes. This is so healthy.
Here's what's happening in York. The crowd is ready. SG, you ready?
Refresh and reorganize for fall.
Start today.
News is happening now.
Look at what's making headlines around the world.
We're coming on the air with breaking news.
This is a significant moment.
Whenever it happens, wherever you are, NBC News, streaming free now.
Live from Ukraine, from Uvalde, Texas, from Mayfield, Kentucky. To cover the news, you have to be in it. This is how so many towns and cities are protecting themselves. You can actually see they're pushing the gates open. Was there a school officer on campus? That's what we've been told. No. Do you remember any tornado as bad as this one? You look at this and you're thinking, we're not going to have power for weeks, if not months. Exactly. Every night, it's your news playlist.
Top Story with Tom Yamas, weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
News is happening now.
Look at what's making headlines around the world.
We're coming on the air with breaking news.
This is a significant moment.
Whenever it happens, wherever you are, NBC News, streaming free now.
The day's biggest political stories with trusted insight now and expert analysis now. A daily look at the politics behind the headlines. Meet the Press Now, streaming weekdays at 4 p.m. on NBC News Now.
Hi, everybody. Good morning. Welcome to Today. This is so healthy. Doesn't it just feel good to be back to school?
It does.
Yes.
Start today.
What do you love about fatherhood?
The chaos, the learning. Is climate change one of your top priorities?
What's your message to girls who want to make a difference in their own communities?
Believe in yourself.
Hi, everybody. Good morning. Welcome to Today. This is so healthy. Doesn't it just feel good to be back to school?
It does.
Start today.
Welcome back to Dylan Dishes Cooking with Cal. Today's episode is all about using a favorite fall staple, apples. Next up, Cal and I are making apple dumplings with a homemade caramel sauce. This recipe takes a bit more time, a bit more patience, but I promise it's worth it. I first saw this recipe in Better Homes and Gardens' new cookbook. So here's how to make one of my favorite fall treats. There are a lot of steps, but it's still pretty easy, okay? There's only 3 things. We need the caramel sauce that goes on top. We've got the apples that we're going to fill with this little filling, and we're gonna wrap it in pastry dough. So let's get started.
Yeah. This is a hard apple. That's a nice apple.
Let's add the water. You can't eat everything. Pour in the sugar.
Mom?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna do half this cinnamon, not all of it. So I'm gonna bring this up to a boil, and this is gonna be our caramel sauce.
We still have some things to do.
You ready to make the filling? All right, what do you think those are? Walnuts.
Walnuts.
And what are those?
Raisins.
Raisins. And we're gonna add
Honey.
about a tablespoon of honey. This is gonna be our filling for the apples. Dump the salt into the flour.
All this salt?
Yeah. Do you know what this is?
Mm-mm.
What do you think it is?
I don't know.
This is called shortening. We want to make the shortening look like little bits of peas in here.
What happens if we eat it?
It would taste disgusting. Ready? Like press it down and twist. There you go. Press and twist. Press it hard. All right, now we're gonna add the half and half.
Now can I pour it? What are we making?
Apple dumplings, remember?
Oh, yummy.
Yeah.
It's a dessert.
It is a dessert.
When it's done, can I eat one of it?
Of course.
And you?
Yes.
Smell it so good.
Oh, it smells like pastry. What are you doing? Can we not put your face in the dough? I'm glad it's just us eating it. All right, here we go with our dough.
Oh no, we make the hole.
No, don't make a hole.
Why?
Because no more holes, no holes. I need you to start here and end all the way over here. Nice. Put the apple here. I'm gonna fill it. Can you take a little bit of this?
This is our better hiding spot.
A little cinnamon sugar. I'm gonna pour this sauce over the dumplings. Carefully. Do you love it? Okay, so if you want to make this apple dumpling recipe right away, you might be thinking I don't have an apple core like I used, but there is a way you can just cut right through the apple. It's tedious, I'll tell you that. In fact, I held off making this recipe until I ordered one of these. Wherever you get, kitchen supplies, it's an easy order. Just wait a couple days until it gets there. But if you don't have patience, just be careful. And I wouldn't recommend doing this part with the kids because you need a very sharp knife and you literally just have to cut around the core of the apple. So make sure you go all the way to the bottom. This is probably the worst part of the whole recipe, is coring the apple. sure we get to the other side. My kids eat a lot of apples, and whether I'm slicing them or dicing them or doing whatever it is with apples, there's just no good way to get the seeds out. But this works pretty well. Okay, so you can either do it that way if you don't have patience, although I think this way is the way to go. So this is what an apple core does. Basically the same thing the knife did, just in all one big swoop. And get it in there. Twist it, pull it up. And there you go. That was easier, right? So I'd recommend just holding off a couple days on this recipe and wait till you get your apple core. I mean, because that's perfect. So to core the apple with a knife, you want to make sure you use a paring knife. They're nice and sharp, they're tiny. If you use anything bigger, I feel like you're going to cut the whole apple up. And a steak knife would just never work for this. So get yourself a paring knife too. For all these recipes, go to today.com/DylanDishes.
I'll do the chocolate chips. No, I want to. No. Fine. Yay. Let's pour it at the same time, Alexander. 3, 2, 1. Whee! My name's Alexander Charbonnet, and this is Kids in the Kitchen. My name is Alexander Charbonnet. I'm 7 years old, and I'm in 2nd grade. I started cooking when I was 5 for my mom and my dad and my sister. I started my cooking channel 2 years ago when I was 5. Hi guys, hi friends, welcome to my show. Kids Can Cook with Chef Alexander. We are making banana muffins with no egg, because I'm allergic to egg. My egg allergy makes me sad, but I'm more sad because I can't eat stuff like other people. Because of my allergy, I can't eat cookies or donuts or like cakes or like a lot of stuff. My mom is awesome because she makes eggless stuff like cookies, cupcakes, and regular cakes. But my mom and I bring treats like cookies without egg to school with me so I can enjoy it with my friends. My little sister has a peanut allergy. She can have like peanut butter and jelly, so I feel like she's special too. My mom was the one who taught me how to cook. My favorite part of cooking is I get to spend special time with my mom cooking. My favorite hobbies are playing video games, riding my bike, riding my scooter. I also really love dinosaurs. Here's a fact of some dinosaurs. Did you know that the Allosaurus doesn't have serrated teeth, and it actually uses a jaw? He opens his mouth and he slashes his upper jaw into its prey like a hammer. We are making chocolate donut cakes. So we have this flour, so we're gonna dump it into the sieve. I want to be a pastry chef because I'm already a pastry chef. I am so excited because today we're making eggless trini, macaroni pie, and blender muffins with apples, bananas, and carrots. First, we're gonna start with the macaroni pie. Here's everything we need to start with. We got butter, we got olive oil, cut up onions, onion powder, garlic powder, black pepper, flour, mustard, cheese, salt, but we also need elbow and and milk. First, we're gonna make the cheese sauce. First, we're gonna melt the butter and the olive oil over medium heat. Now the next step where you need to add the onions. Make sure you cook it for a few minutes because we don't want the smell of the onions to make us cry. The next step, you need to add the flour and you need to make a roux. A roux is fat mixed with flour. You need to whisk it so it doesn't give that raw flour taste. That would taste horrible. This is what's gonna thicken the sauce since I'm not using egg. Now we need to add the milk to the pot, but make sure to add it slowly because we don't want it to spot all over the place. Now we need to whisk it until it's fully incorporated. Next, we're gonna add the mustard. Now we're ready to put in the spices. We got our onion powder, the garlic powder in, and the black pepper in. And the salt, let's put in the salt too. Bubbling, it looks like lava. This is what we're looking for. I wish you guys can smell this, because it really smells good. Now for the best part, we put in the cheese. Now we're going back to mixing. The sauce looks like this. This is a little hot, so you know who I need? Mommy! Almost there, up. It's important to incorporate the pasta into the cheese sauce. We're gonna put in a greased baking dish and then we're gonna top it off with cheese. This looks great. Now we're just gonna add some cheese on the top. I need to pop this in the oven, so I need to call Mom again. Mom!
Oh, it looks good. Okay, come and open the oven for me.
Okay. Thanks, Mom.
Oh, no, thank you. Good job.
We're gonna let it bake for 25 or 30 minutes. This looks awesome. It wouldn't be complete without my favorite person. Yeah.
We come from a long line of foodies in our family, a long line of cooks, and you're just carrying on that tradition by continuing to be one of the chefs in our family.
News is happening now.
To look at what's making headlines around the world.
We're coming on the air with breaking news.
This is a significant moment.
Whenever it happens, wherever you are, NBC News, streaming free now. News is happening now.
To look at what's making headlines around the world.
We're coming on the air with breaking news.
This is a significant moment.
Whenever it happens, wherever you are, NBC News, streaming free now.
Now Tonight with Joshua Johnson, streaming weeknights at 8 on NBC News Now.
Now we're gonna make one of my favorite recipes, blender muffins without egg. They have apples, carrots, and bananas. But to help me, I'm gonna have my sister, Natalie. Come on. Bling. So we're gonna introduce yourself, Natalie.
Okay, so my name is Natalie, and I'm going in kindergarten soon. And my favorite food is fruits and vegetables. I'm 5. And I'm Alexander's sister. And my nickname is Peanut.
And her nickname's Peanut, but she has a peanut allergy. But this also has no eggs, so it's...
Isn't that funny, guys?
Now we have this big mixing bowl. So now we're gonna put in all our dry ingredients.
Let's start with the flour.
Put in the brown sugar. Oh, flop. Oh, there's still some. Ah, there you go.
Put it back.
Now we need to put in the white sugar. Now we put in baking powder, and
my turn.
Let's put in baking soda.
Now let's put in some cinnamon, like for cinnamon rolls. Let's make blender muffins. Mix up. Agitate around.
Okay.
Your turn.
Now we need the blender, and now we're gonna ask Mom for the blender.
Mom.
Now we're gonna add the apples, the carrots, and bananas to the blender. Let's start with the apples.
Yeah.
Plop.
Plop. Time for carrot time.
We're gonna put in the carrots.
And guys, in case you know, these are for our bunnies, but we use them for baking now. Let's put the banana peel right.
Break it in half and then put the other half in. That might be smart.
Overload. It looks weird.
Wonder.
I'm trying to get the ones on the back. Maybe we should do it together. Let's mix and agitate. Let's mix and agitate. Let's do that.
Now let's add.
I'll add the butter.
Vanilla and let's do it. 3, 2, 1. Wow.
I'll do the chocolate chips.
No, I want to.
No.
Fine.
Let's pour it at the same time, Alexander. 3, 2, 1. Whee!
I'll do the oats. Ooh, this looks good. Now we have our muffin tin.
Yep.
We get to spray our muffin tin. Yeah, we need to do it 3/4 way full.
How about you scoop it and I put it in?
These are ready to go in the oven now.
And now let's get Mom. Now it's gonna take 18 to 22 minutes. Bye, we'll see you on the next step. Oh my gosh, they're done. Now we have to call Mom. Mommy. Some of them are small and some of them are ginormous. Oh my gosh, I just want to gobble them all up in my mouth.
These have been cooling for 10 minutes, so they're ready to
Again, you did awesome, John. High five. Teamwork makes the yummy dream.
Hi, I'm Vicki Wynn. Thanks for joining me for Consumer Confidential Back to School Safety Guide. We're going to help you kick off a successful year, from navigating the social scene to the great debate. Is your child ready for a phone? We'll also have an important lesson on how to stay safe on campus, especially if your student is away from home for the first time. In just a few minutes, we'll talk to Dr. Sue Varma on dealing with the anxiety of returning to school. But first, school safety is on the minds of many. We looked into some of the most effective measures. We aren't going to give away any secrets that could put your kids in danger, but we will show you some of the safety tactics used in schools today to potentially save lives.
Nearly 50 million kids in the U.S. are headed back to class, and across the country, districts are approaching security differently. In Indiana, Jay County schools have gun safes on each campus, where trained staff have access with just a thumbprint. Clinton Public Schools in Mississippi added a fourth police officer. And in Las Vegas, El Dorado High School is set for a $26 million security upgrade with cameras, single-point entry, and perimeter fencing.
I'm here at White Plains High School in New York for an exclusive look at their campus security system. And with me is John LaPlaca. He's a consultant who works with schools across the nation. Let's talk about the security here. What's the first thing a visitor would notice?
So as we approach the building, we're going to have a single locked point of entry for visitors. If they want to gain access to the building, the first step in the process would be they'd buzz in on the intercom system, which would be answered by security personnel inside. Hi there, it's John LaPlaca from Altaris. I'm here to visit the main office. So I've announced myself, and the security person has now given us access to the building, has buzzed us into the vestibule.
But that's not it. We're stopped by a second set of doors where security scans our driver's license to cross-check against the sex offender registry and local banned persons lists.
Okay, John, so now we're inside the school. What other security measures are in place here?
So visible throughout the building, you'll see cameras. It also gives law enforcement the ability in an emergency situation to look at the cameras.
What about the classrooms themselves?
They have electronic locks, which will actually automatically lock in an emergency situation. Some of the best returns on investment for safety and security are things that cost nothing at all.
Low-cost signs to help people provide 911 with their location and help responders outside find them.
Oh, okay.
We took part in an actual lockdown drill where teachers served as students. Assistant Principal Guy Vitiello, wearing this bright orange shirt, serves as a trespasser on campus. I'm in the classroom with teacher Daniel Furry, who shows us what happens when someone triggers the alarm.
I'm going to activate the phone.
Okay.
Students get to the safe zone. Students get to the safe zone.
So you instruct your students to go back to the safe zone?
Lockdown. Lock the doors. Stay away from the windows.
Across campus, the alert can be seen and heard from these LED boxes. Furry is trained to quickly scan for nearby students before securing the room.
So you go outside, make sure that there are no students in the hallway, or you grab them to get into the safe zone?
Correct.
Okay.
Come in, get into the safe zone in the corner there. Lock down, go in the room.
In an actual lockdown, only law enforcement can enter the building. Today, school resource officers from White Plains PD enter through a back door closest to our trespasser.
Now, when you close that door, Mr. Furry, does it lock automatically?
It does lock automatically.
Police didn't want to reveal their tactical response, but told us the priority is to go straight to the trespasser and confront the security risk.
White Plains Police, can you tell us why you're in the building?
Inside, everyone remains in lockdown. Only police can unlock the doors and let them out. As you stand here in the corner, what kind of goes through your mind?
Thinking about the students, and how they're feeling and how important it is to reassure them that when they're here, they're safe, that we have systems for them to ensure their safety and their comfort, and then reassuring them afterwards.
White Plains Police Chief Joe Castelli says his department holds multiple training drills like this every year. These are decisions officers have to make in a split second. How important is training to that muscle memory?
The more we do it, the more we will react in a crisis situation, a high-stress situation. The time to train is not the time when the crisis is going on.
The chief says everyone in the community can make the difference. See something, say something.
Look, we want to help anybody who may be in distress.
Superintendent Joe Ricca says planning, practice, and communication is the critical first layer of security to keeping any campus safe.
At the core of any strong security plan is always going to be the training.
And joining me now is board-certified psychiatrist Dr. Sue Varma to help us ease into the school year and eliminate some of the anxiety that comes with a new year. Welcome, Dr. Varma. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Help us understand what are some of the conversations that we parents can have with our kids to ease some of their worries.
So, school safety is number one on everyone's mind, and the child may say, like, how can I feel safe with all that's happening in the world? And I think it's really important for parents to have age-appropriate conversations. Depending on the kid, you may want to keep it very simple if we're talking about 5 to 7-year-olds, and older kids may want a little bit more information. But really having open-ended questions where you leave it to them to say, what are you worried about? So we're not projecting our fears and anxieties onto them, and then providing some level of support and reassurance to say, it's going to be okay, we'll figure this out. Because really that's what kids want to hear at the end of the day, that it's all going to be okay.
What are some action statements that we can use if a kid says, I'm kind of worried about my safety at school?
Yes.
What is something you can tell them that's concrete?
Yes. So I would say, listen, let's have a safety plan. I know that the idea of kids having cell phones is a big topic, and maybe we can talk about that another day. But, if the kid is age appropriate, like somewhere between 9, 10, 11, I want to give my kids phones as they're nearing that age. So say that you can contact me when you're in school if you don't feel safe, if the school allows for it. Or, for example, if you're going to an event and you're at a parade, to say if we got separated at the parade, where's the meeting point? What is your address? Do you know your phone number? Because a lot of young kids don't know. Or can you look for a familiar face in the parade or the event that you're going to? So having very concrete tips, and to say, I'm going to the PTA meeting, I'm going to find out at school what is the plan, the safety plan, and we're going to get our local legislators involved. We'll get the local police department involved. So giving them some structure and confidence that you've got things figured out, or you're going to figure them out with them.
That makes sense. And giving them actual things to do and giving them knowledge, information that you gather.
Yes.
That's super helpful. What are some of the other back to school anxieties that kids have? Because it's been a summer and maybe they're worried about their friends or just a new teacher, a new school.
Yes, all of that, all of the above, like you said. One thing is separation anxiety. Young kids are going to feel like, I've spent the whole summer with you and now we're not going to be together. I know the older kids, the teens and tweens, may be like, I'm happy to peace out, right?
Right.
So the younger kids, that separation, if you can create a few moments in the morning to say, listen, we're going to have everything ready, we'll have their lunches packed, let's just watch some videos for a couple of minutes, let's laugh, let's watch something on YouTube or TikTok, whatever feels family friendly to you. The other anxieties are fitting in. Body image issues are a big deal nowadays as young people are on social media and feeling like they're not.
Especially for young girls.
Absolutely not living up to standards. So finding them activities that make them feel body confident. Sports are a great way, keeping kids active throughout the summer so that they feel a sense of agency over their body. Finding them clothes that fit if that's an issue. Peer pressure, and discussing a lot of this and recognizing that it's going to be evolving in real time, but keeping the door open, keeping interested, asking them questions. What are you watching? What are you doing? What are you worried about?
That's all such great actionable advice. Dr. Sue Varma, as always, we appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, well, we talked about it there. The great debate coming up. Is your child ready for a phone? Plus, we'll look at the other gadgets your kids may need, which include laptops that are right for your family. Later, College Safety 101, the do's and don'ts of college life. Consumer Confidential, coming right back.
These days, it feels like the news never stops. So let's get into it. What's happening right now, what it all means for you for an hour every day. It can be hard to keep up, so let's get started together.
Hallie Jackson Now, weekdays at 5 on NBC News Now.
Live from Ukraine, from Uvalde, Texas, from Mayfield, Kentucky. To cover the news, you have to be in it. This is how so many towns and cities are protecting themselves. You can actually see they're pushing the gates open. Was there a school officer on campus? That's what we've been told. No. Do you remember any tornado as bad as this one? You look at this and you're thinking, we're not going to have power for weeks, if not months. Exactly. Every night, it's your news playlist.
Top Story with Tom Llamas. Weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
News is happening now.
Look at what's making headlines around the world.
Right now on Morning News Now.
We're coming on the air with breaking news.
And this is a significant moment.
Whenever it happens, wherever you are, NBC News, streaming free now.
Now Tonight with Joshua Johnson. Streaming weeknights at 8 on NBC News Now. Hallie Jackson Now. Weekdays at 5 on NBC News Now.
These days, it's known as the Great Debate. When are kids ready to have a phone? Parents want to be able to stay in touch with their children throughout the day, but owning a phone can open up a different set of headaches. Here's NBC's Kate Snow.
The pandemic changed everything, including the way kids learned and spent their free time. According to Common Sense Media, screen use for teens and tweens has grown by 17% since 2019, with kids 8 to 12 clocking 5.5 hours a day and 13 to 18-year-olds logging nearly 9 hours a day on devices. Now, many parents are pumping the brakes. For mom of 4, Adriana Stacy, the family policy has always been firm.
We don't buy smartphones for our children.
She's a psychiatrist who's seen the effects of increased screen time in her practice.
I'll get a patient in my office, usually a teenager, who all of a sudden started to really struggle with anxiety and depression. Pretty much every time we can trace that back to when did you get a phone?
But her oldest, Annalise, a 10th grader, often feels left out.
It's definitely hard sometimes because I have been left out of decisions because I haven't been on a group chat or something.
It's also been a struggle in the classroom. Some of Annalise's teachers ask students to use their smartphones to do classwork.
We do feel like we're standing alone on an island.
But the island is getting bigger. A movement called Wait Until 8th encourages parents to wait until at least 8th grade to give kids smartphones. The network is 40,000 families strong, and they've seen a 25% increase in participation in the last year alone.
Parents have seen the impact of screens on kids over the past couple of years with online school and lots of social media consumption. Let's get our kids outside. Let's get our kids reading. Let's get our kids playing with other kids in real life. Let's let our kids enjoy being kids.
Research about the impact of smartphones is mixed. A large study using data from the National Institutes of Health found screen time was moderately associated with worse mental health, increased behavior problems, decreased academic performance, and poorer sleep, but also found using a smartphone or device improved friendships and connection. Dr. Jean Twangy is a professor of psychology at San Diego State and author of the book iGen.
Are we basically experimenting on our kids, not knowing what the impact of these smartphones will be long term?
All of us are basically living in a big social experiment where smartphones have taken over. In effect, we're experimenting with their brains. Hey, let's give them all a smartphone and see what happens.
Experts agree if parents are going to allow smartphones, they should be banned from the bedroom overnight, and they recommend setting time limits and parental controls. And for the growing number of parents who decide not to give their kids a smartphone at all, talk to your kids about your concerns and consider a stripped-down phone for calls and texts only. Last year, Annalise Stacy got one of those. At 15 years old, she already sees the benefits of not having a smartphone.
It's been a positive experience not growing up with one because I spent more time doing more valuable things and less time on my phone. I have better self-esteem and better social skills, and I can definitely communicate and just talk to people more.
Kate Snow, NBC News, New York.
In a recent study from the University of Texas, researchers gave people a series of tests without a smartphone near them and then with a smartphone near them. Just having that phone within reach, even though they weren't touching it, was enough of a distraction that the people didn't concentrate or do as well on their tests. So food for thought there. All right, so in addition to a phone, there is a lot of other technology that parents may want to consider. Mark Spoonhour, who is a tech expert and global editor-in-chief of Tom's Guide, is here with a look at back-to-school tech for every age. Mark, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
All right, let's start with this. Parents who may not want to give kids a smartphone with all the bells and whistles yet, but they still want the safety and security of knowing they can get in touch with their kids. What are we looking at?
So think of this as like a smartphone training wheels.
Okay, I like it.
So the first device is the Gyrobit. And the idea behind this device is being able to track your kids and know where they are. It's really light. It's $139, so fairly affordable.
Okay.
You can attach it to their backpack, their clothes. And the idea is that if your kid is coming home from school or leaving, you will get automatic notifications on your phone based on location. Yes.
Okay. Okay. And what about this guy right here, this little watch device?
So this is kind of like the Dick Tracy watch is making a comeback. So this is called the TikTok 4.
Okay.
It goes for $199. And unlike the Apple Watch, there's actually, not only can you make phone calls through it, but there's a 5-megapixel camera built in. So you can have video calls with grandma or whoever you like. You get to set the contacts.
Okay.
The other good thing about this watch is that with kids, a lot of people with screen time increasing, people are worried about, are my kids staying active? There's an activity tracker built in, and there's some gamification features, so your kids will want to be active.
Moving on to the next item, laptops, very pricey. What do we need to know about, the best ones to get for our kids?
Sure, so we do a lot of testing at Tom's Guide, including battery life. And what we love about the new MacBook Air M2 in particular is that it lasts for 14 hours on a charge, where we just continuously surf the web. So it does really well in that regard. It's also very well built, and we think that students are going to like the new colors, including the blue model that you see here. The performance is great, and it has a high-resolution full HD webcam built in, because a lot of us are doing more video calls with parents at home, but even interacting with our professors.
Okay, so let's move on quickly to the laptop bag. Some of them actually have locks built in.
Yeah, so this is from Mancro. It's only $26 on Amazon, and there's a couple of great features. One is that you can order one with a combination lock built in, which is really good for protecting your laptop. The other thing that you see right here is that there's a USB cable, and if you want to, you can have it snaking outwards, and there's a USB port right here. So all you have to do is put in your own portable charger. So let's say you're at class and you're running low on juice, you can charge up your phone or your laptop using your backpack.
Okay, I'm running out of time, but let's talk about these trackers. These are so important to keep track of all of your devices, right? They're made by Apple, and who else?
So this is Tile and Apple, and the best way to look at these trackers and to think about them is that one is for Apple and iPhone, and the other is for Android.
Okay, very good. And then if you are a student riding a bike, gotta get a helmet. Why is this one special?
This is great because it has LEDs built in, and it gives you full visibility when you're on the road, and there's a remote control built in, so if you're riding your bike, you can actually let people know if you're about to turn left or right, and you can control that with a remote control on the handlebars or using your Apple Watch.
Okay, I'm going to challenge you real quick. 10 seconds. What's this?
Okay, so the Nest Video Doorbell is one of our favorites because it gives you a very tall aspect ratio. So not only can you see people, but packages that are at your door, which is really great for college students.
Mark Spoonhour, our tech expert. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Still to come, how to talk to kids about peer pressure. But first, College Safety 101. How to avoid becoming a target for criminals. Consumer Confidential is coming right back.
Let's go. This is a critical choke point for this fire. And good evening from New Orleans. Nice to really spend some time with you. Appreciate
Welcome back to Today. We got a lot to celebrate on this Wednesday morning. It's good to have you along with us.
You don't know when your moment's coming, but when it does, you take it.
Everybody's good, and that's it.
Today is now a podcast available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
And what do you love about fatherhood?
The chaos, the learning. Is climate change one of your top priorities?
What's your message to girls who want to make a difference in their own communities?
Believe in yourself.
News is happening now.
Look at what's making headlines around the world.
We're coming on the air with breaking news.
This is a significant moment.
Whenever it happens, wherever you are, NBC News, streaming free now.
These days, it feels like the news never stops. So let's get into it. What's happening right now, what it all means for you for an hour every day. It can be hard to keep up, so let's get started together.
Hallie Jackson Now, weekdays at 5 on NBC News Now.
NBC News, streaming free now.
Top Story with Tom Llamas, weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now. The day's biggest political stories with trusted insight now and expert analysis now. A daily look at the politics behind the headlines. Meet the Press Now, streaming weekdays at 4 p.m. on NBC News Now.
College is a special time for so many young adults, but that independence also comes with new risks. So how do you avoid being a target for criminals? I went back to school for a refresher course on campus safety. At college campuses across America, it's back to school. Each year, around 20 million U.S. students attend college. For some, it's the first time they're on their own, and safety may not be their first priority. Fortunately, crime on college campuses has been on a steady decline for years. According to the most recent numbers in 2020, there were a reported 28,000 crimes. That's a record low, due in part to remote learning during the pandemic. But as we return to in-person classes, we're here on the campus of Fairleigh Dickinson University in New Jersey for an important lesson on how to stay safe while in school. Joining me is Mike Sapriconi. He has 16 years of experience as an NYPD detective and is now the president of global security firm Squad Security. Mike, we talk about safety all the time. What do we need to know about staying safe when it comes to being on a college campus?
Being alert, paying attention, always being vigilant to what's around you, making sure you know your friends, they know where you're going, they have your telephone number, you have theirs. Always to be in touch with somebody.
And being prepared is so important.
Always being prepared.
Let me introduce you to Treasure Thomas. Hi, Treasure, come on in. She's a junior here at Fairleigh, and she's going to take you through a day in the life of a student here on campus.
Great. Nice to meet you, Treasure. Looking forward to it.
Nice to meet you, too. Her day starts when she drives to class.
Great place to park. You want to park where there's a light, so at night you know where your car is. You want to park otherwise places where there are other cars parked. And keep your key in your hand. Don't hit it 30 yards out, because then someone's going to see that you're opening the doors. When you get close to your car, hit your fob, go in your door. And as soon as you get in the door, before you start your car, lock your door.
Almost every school has campus-wide alerts, usually sent via text message.
So what should I do if I get that alert?
Well, if you're in a classroom, you should certainly be guided by your professor or your instructor. If not, you should definitely contact public safety, or if you're your RA if you have some concerns. But you should have a point of contact that you should be able to go to.
Another tip? Add the number for campus public safety in your phone. They can usually respond faster than 911. A big mistake students make at the library.
You see, you have your computer out, and you probably have your phone out on the desk, and sometimes I'm sure you've gotten up to go do something, you've left them there.
Of course.
And it's a bad idea. Theft is the #1 crime on campuses, okay? It's a crime of opportunity.
While walking around, Mike says to use the buddy system, and if no one is available, call campus public safety. They usually will provide an escort.
What if someone's making me uncomfortable and I'm nervous and I'm all by myself?
That's important. A lot of people are afraid to say anything, but you should maybe change direction. Walk to where you might see more people, and never be afraid to scream. Screaming is good. Screaming scares people, it alerts people. Emergency phone, blue light box. So important on campuses to know where they are and to know how to use them.
While touring the dorm, Mike immediately notices some security concerns, like this propped door, which Treasure says students do all the time.
Anybody comes in this dorm, that stuff is theirs. I mean, it's just so easy to take. We got to make it a little harder on them. This is great to have the sunlight come in on a beautiful day, but this can't be left like this. You're on the first floor. Good job here by locking the window. But you don't want everybody to have that easy access to see what's going on or what's in your room. Here's another thing. You have this mirror covering the peephole. Defeats the purpose of you being able to look out.
At night, always use the buddy rule. Never accept drinks from strangers, and wait until the next day to post on social media so no one can track your whereabouts.
We covered a lot of stuff today. Good luck in school in this next semester, and spread the word to all your friends.
Thank you.
Our thanks to Mike and Treasure for all those great tips. And Mike says the buddy system, it works best when you designate one person who will look for you if you don't come back to your dorm or you haven't checked in. All right, up next, dealing with tricky topics from drinking to consent. How to talk to kids about social pressure. You're watching Consumer Confidential on Today All Day.
What do you love about fatherhood?
The chaos, the learning. Is climate change one of your top priorities?
What's your message to girls who want to make a difference in their own communities?
Believe in yourself.
Hi, everybody. Good morning. Welcome to Today. This is so healthy. Doesn't it just feel good to be back to school?
It does.
Start today.
Hi, everybody. Good morning. Welcome to Today.
We are going to start with some good news.
Doesn't it just feel good to be back to school?
It does.
Yes. This is so healthy.
Here's what's happening in York.
The crowd is ready. SG, you ready?
Refresh and reorganize for fall.
Start today.
These are our missing daughters and sons.
We need anyone who saw something to come forward.
She was wearing a black jacket, a black top.
I'm going to bring my son home alive.
Dateline, Missing in America. Listen to the full season now.
Top Story with Tom Llamas. Weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
NBC News, streaming free now.
It's a topic parents can't afford to ignore, the social pressure and dangers your kids might face. In 2019, nearly a quarter of 14 and 15-year-olds reported having at least one alcoholic drink. And data from the CDC suggests 1 in 12 high school students experiences physical dating violence. Joining us with important insight is Dr. Danielle Dooley, a general pediatrician and former Georgetown University Health Services worker. Dr. Dooley, thank you for joining Consumer Confidential. Those numbers we just talked about, specifically with the violence, the dating violence, really alarming. What should young people keep in mind when they're going out on a date?
So I think it's really important that we equip our teenagers and young adults with the facts and the knowledge. First of all, they should know that about 8 out of 10 instances of sexual assault occur between people who know each other. So I think that's really important for them to know. We also want them to know about the different types of violence. There's physical violence, emotional violence, and sexual violence. And then lastly, we really want to start talking with our teens and young adults about what are the components of a healthy relationship. Are these relationships based on trust and honesty and independence and anger control and respect, or are they relationships based on disrespect, dishonesty, a lack of anger control, and a lack of trust?
Dr. Dooley, how should parents navigate difficult conversations on these topics like substance abuse or consent?
So first of all, just like you might have a packing list for your child's dorm or what they're going to need for their academic course loads each year, also on your list should be having this conversation with your child. And I want parents to know that they're not alone. There are a number of resources out there to help guide parents. First and most importantly is committing to having the conversation. Secondly, finding a quiet space and time in which to do it so you can really have a conversation with your child. Third, you might want to use something that's been in social media or current events as a way to open up the discussion and find out what your teenager knows. Where are they in their thinking and their knowledge about these topics? What are they seeing amongst their friends? And then finally, commit to being non-judgmental and really hearing your teen and hearing what they've been seeing and experiencing are some great ways to open this conversation and navigate these difficult topics.
And these aren't just one and done conversations, right, Dr. Dooley? Should you revisit this over time?
Absolutely. It is so important that these conversations happen repeatedly and that maybe when you have that first conversation, you really set the stage to, I hope this is the first of many conversations. You can always come and speak to me about things you may have questions about or are concerned about. And even if I don't know the answer, I will try to find the correct information or answer for you. So repeated check-ins and conversations are critical.
Thank you. I love that actual language that you're equipping parents with. What are some basic do's and don'ts when you are talking to your kids about these social dangers?
So I think some important do's are making sure you make the time and the space for the conversation, asking open-ended questions. So really trying to let your child or young adult tell you what they think or what they know or what they've seen, rather than asking questions that are just going to lead to yes or no answers. I also think that parents shouldn't be afraid to communicate their own values and expectations around substance abuse and sexual activity. And I think some don'ts are don't skip the conversation. It's a really critical conversation to have. Children are seeing a lot about relationships through social media, and I think it's really important that they see and learn and hear about relationships from their own parents as well. So don't skip the conversation and try not to get emotional. You may hear things that are hard to hear, but you really want to create that open atmosphere for your teenager.
Hold the judgment, as you said earlier. Dr. Dooley, what about some red flags that your child might be in trouble?
So red flags that your child might be having issues would be if you noticed a sudden withdrawal from activities or sports or organizations or things that they used to enjoy doing. If you noticed a decline in their studies or academics, if you notice they're just not participating in things like they used to, they may have mood changes and seem angry, hostile, depressed, or anxious. So all of those would be red flags that it's important to check in with your child. And you could also offer them the option that if they don't feel comfortable or ready to talk to you, is there someone at their school or their college that they would feel comfortable talking to at this point?
Dr. Danielle Dooley, thank you so much. We so appreciate your time. And that is our time for now. For all of us at NBC News, I'm Vicki Wynn. Be sure to join me for another edition of Consumer Confidential right here on Today All Day.
All righty. Well, hey guys, thanks for being here. We really appreciate it. The name of this show, Family Game Fight, it sounds a little aggressive.
It's not a good name.
That's what I said.
I'm glad you pointed it out.
There are a lot of flaws in the show.
Yeah, this is but one of many. But yes, not only that, but it's very hard to say. Your muscle memory wants to say family game night. So even Kristen, who I have to say, pound for pound is the most accurate, precise speaker on planet Earth. When she has to do recordings for movies and match her lips to the screen, one take. I watch it all the time. She's a master. She fumbled Family Game Fight
because
a
you
couple
want to
times.
say family game night, and that is the feeling of the show, because it's two families, and because they don't know each other, and you were building it up as a big,
it's a battle.
It's a battle. We added the word fight. We're still mulling over whether that was the correct
We're stuck
decision.
with it. Yeah. Now we painted ourselves into a corner, and here we are.
So what's the premise? What constitutes the fight, the battle? What are they playing? How are they doing this?
Lots of games, lots of weird games. There's a game called Pie Rollers where Dax and I each get a mystery word, and we have to choose how many clues do we give you before you can guess the mystery word. And we basically bet, and then whichever family takes the bet, the losing family gets a pie to the face. That's a bad game.
Well, they get multiple pies.
Multiple
There's nothing
pies.
that's bad in the show that doesn't also then occur a million times.
Yeah.
So, and what makes this game show, I think, much different is it originated from Kristen and I doing a bit on Ellen called Taste Buds, where we're blindfolded and I'm tasting a banana. Oh, they're yellow. They grow on trees. Monkeys eat them.
Eucalyptus.
Eucalyptus.
Is what I said.
Al, no.
I said.
No. That's a koala clue. So we played this game on Ellen, and it was just an unmitigated disaster for about 3.5 minutes. We are not in on the joke, but we
were really fighting.
And it's objectively the funniest thing we've ever been a part of together as a team. So we stood back from it, and we were like, it's pretty hysterical watching how frustrated we are with each other. What if this was a whole show? So what's different about our show is that we're also competing against each other. So we're the mascot of our team, and we go head to head nonstop.
And we're trying to win, and each family that comes on, and it can be a pandemic family, a group of friends, anyone who considers themselves family. It doesn't have to be blood.
The Manson family.
Okay, that might end a little differently.
Yeah. He said it's a dangerous show. And Dax is fighting for his family. I'm fighting for my family to win $100,000. And we're getting ice buckets dumped on our head and down our back. They hook up a tube in this game called Brain Freeze with a big ice watery chunk that has to go down your back and down your pants. And it is one of the most uncomfortable things I've ever done.
And we did it 18 times in a row.
Oh my God.
it would seem, and correct me if I'm wrong, but that you're tempting fate as a couple by, I mean, couples have enough conflict without adding to it and having a national television audience watching. Was there any hesitation in doing this?
I think what you're saying is it's arrogant, and you know what? You're dead right. It's very cocky of us to leave a house with a 6-year-old and an 8-year-old. We're already going to kill each other, and then we drive 12 minutes to Warner Brothers, and then just do it for another 16 hours straight.
Yeah.
Hey, let's stress test this thing. Let's see what it'll bear.
What we're really made of.
Kristen, you mentioned, like some pandemic families. We're all coming out of this. Are there any lessons that we might have learned during the pandemic that you see with these families that show that they've learned something during this stressful time?
I mean, I would say that a lot of the families that we had on the show, they were very close. They were teammates, and like to the best definition of that. And I think that that's because a lot of these people that came on the show, they spent the last 18 months together. And I mean, certainly learned what we learned, which is that patience and grace is key. I mean, when life is busy, you can make an argument that you're allowed to be snappy with someone. But when you're just sitting in a house, you're sort of like, I've got two choices. I could be frustrated with this person because what they're doing is annoying me, or I could just choose patience and grace and give everybody a little bit of a free pass like I would be asking for. And so the families seemed, there was a group of Bruins football players, there was
firefighters,
a group of firefighters that had spent the whole pandemic even like working together, because that stuff doesn't shut down just because we have to stay indoors. A group of sisters that spent it together.
But you're right. As the saying goes, you find out who your friends are in adversity, not in triumph. So I think for the last year, they've really figured out, like, oh yeah, who would I pod with? Who can I count on to do this? Who do I trust? I think a lot of people have come out of this with a sense of like who that core is.
I'm fascinated by the choices you guys make. In that, so here you are, squished together during this pandemic with your kids. You're admittedly driving each other nuts. So you get out of the pandemic, and the first thing you do is get into an even smaller space in an RV and start driving. So explain that choice to me.
Okay. I mean, is this a 6-hour segment? Because I got to start by saying I'm 46. Time is boogieing by. I mean, it is blowing by. I'm sure it's going even at a faster rate for you. I'm committed.
I'm old.
Well, not just that you're old, but time it collapses on itself, right?
Sure.
So a year for me is 1/46 of my life. For my 8-year-old, it's 1/8 of her life. Those are different. So I'm obsessed with novelty. I think when you are experiencing new sights, new smells, new tastes, that you are actually slowing time down. You're taking in more data and you're slowing time down. My example would be you go on vacation. First 3 days, you're like, man, I feel like I've been here for a week. Last 2 days are like that. So if you just keep that motorhome moving, you never get to those last 2 days.
And do you feel the same way, Kristen?
I do. Well, that's also a very, very good argument. And in our house, the best, most sound argument wins. So I can make arguments that like, well, it might be slightly uncomfortable in the motorhome. And then when I look at those two arguments in comparison, I'm like, yeah, I'd take a tiny amount of discomfort, which it really isn't, for a time stretching out. And for some reason, our family, the four of us, have learned how to cooperate in a small space better than a large space. And oddly, I would say that brings back to the pandemic lesson. You make different choices when you can't escape. When you are with someone face to face all the time, you choose wisely, I feel like, and you can, we got along great. The girls like barely fought.
I think we do have some history of like, as a little team, we'll go away, Kristen will go work somewhere. So all four of us go to a hotel for some period of time. We fly together. We do. I think we've had like a lot of little compartment. One of them's knocking at the door, even though they know they can't.
You take the question. I'll get the child. Hold on.
I said, we're on TV right now. We're on the news. And she said, okay.
And this, I'm sure, is about the doll's birthday. We found
She's
out
all in
yesterday
the bag
that
with
it's
some
her doll's birthday, and now we have to order a cake, and she wrapped like 6 presents yesterday, and now we got to celebrate. She's taking it very seriously. Anyway.
Wow,
she's planning a bacchanalia for this.
But as teammates, as Dax was saying, because we travel as a family when he works or when I work, we support each other no matter how crazy the idea is. So we will be celebrating Gloria the doll's birthday this evening.
Today is now a podcast available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
These are our missing daughters and sons.
We need anyone who saw something to come forward.
She was wearing a black jacket, a black top.
I'm gonna bring my son home alive.
Dateline, Missing in America. Listen to the full season now.
Let's go. This is a critical choke point for this fire. And good evening from New Orleans. Nice to really spend some time with you. Appreciate
Welcome back to Today. We got a lot to celebrate on this Wednesday morning. It's good to have you along with us.
You don't know when your moment's coming, but when it does, you take it.
Everybody's good, and that's it.
NBC News, streaming free now.
For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
Here's the thing, and you talk about gender assumptions, and I think people always assume that boys smell worse than girls. And as the father of 2 girls and a boy, I can tell you that that's not necessarily so, and I understand that there's an issue in your house with that.
Well, they smell like vinegar, and I can't compare them to boys, but it's all kids, and I think you're referring to when we bathe them. It's a smell test. It's a foot smell test, and then you just pop them in the water or the shower or the bath.
Yeah.
But prior to that, it's too much work. So it's every couple
Especially
of days.
in the summer. So something happens in summer, right? You loosen up the bedtime. All of a sudden, we realize like, oh, geez, now we're watching TV with these kids at like 11 p.m. This went off the rails. And then you're just bathing them far less, and you're kind of leaving them in charge of it, which they're bad at it. And then, a whiff will hit you, and you go, oh, it's time.
Yeah.
In fact, it was probably time yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah, but here we are.
So was that the impetus for your line, Hello Bello, for like soaps and products for kids?
Get them clean.
Our kids were because we we're overpaid and we live in Los Angeles. So we had our any product that might have been fantastic, we had access to, we could afford. And at a certain point we were like, it's kind of weird if you live in Michigan where we're from and you are middle class, you probably can't have all the stuff we had. And we were just in a really weird position where we could approach a Walmart and start with the economy of scale that allowed us to do really premium, healthy, organic stuff for half the price of the other stuff.
We say it's your mom's ingredients at your dad's prices. And we make the amazing diapers. Hello Bello has the best diapers. And they come in a diaper box when you get the bundle that turns into a toy. Like it'll turn into an airplane. It's like a foldable box. So it's
race car.
Yeah, or a race car or a lemonade stand. We're trying to make it very cool.
Or kindling for your fire in the winter.
Oh, even better.
And then a lot of good.
It's like the Transformers of kid stuff.
Yeah, we're trying to make it fun and all the stuff you would need for a baby or a kid. And we're putting a lot of thought into it and trying to bring it to the masses because it's about half the price of anything else.
So the girls aren't babies anymore. What now that they're out there and they're these independent, free thinking, free range kids, What are they coming home with that still just kind of gobsmacks you sometimes?
Well, currently, into our great horror, our 8-year-old has taken an interest in musical theater. So what's great is, this is really what what we're dying for as parents is like, you push all this stuff on them 0 to 8, why don't you try soccer? Why don't you try this? Our life was just taking them all these places they didn't want to be. And we did not push acting because we want nothing to do with it until they're older. We don't want to drive to auditions and stuff. So lo and behold, she's studying like crazy. She's learning like reams of dialogue and songs, and she's just on fire for it. And we're not a part of that. It's just happening.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, it's a parenting theory where you just follow the kid. And so we kind of got to follow it. She's loving it. She's doing a lot of little plays. I shouldn't say little. She's doing a lot of plays and she's doing a great job.
Yeah.
And the younger one is all over the place.
Yeah.
We don't know what her deal is yet.
Planning. Apparently she's an event planner in the making because she has a birthday party for a stuffed animal at least once a week.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody's got to have a skill.
Welcome to Today All Day.
All day?
Today, all day. All day.
This is a long way of asking who's your favorite character you've ever played.
The unicorn. The unicorn. You gotta have the unicorn.
What is she right there? That's why you're saying all these nice things?
Yeah, she gave me the look. Sorry to disturb your day. Everyone's mad at you, Willie.
Better make this fast. I don't want the wrath of Luna.
When I see you, I always think, I wonder what his quote would be.
Give us 6 minutes and we'll ask as many questions as we can.
Welcome to Cold Cuts.
Cold cut, cold cut.
My buddy Cal cooking with me.
Dads don't babysit. It's called parenting.
What was the first book you remember loving?
Heart Smart Today with simple exercises to strengthen your heart.
Make the most of your beach days.
It's all about the tracksuit now. How good do they look?
I now pronounce you husband and wife. Kiss the bride.
This morning, a story of people helping people.
You've received tons of letters from people who have been inspired.
Let's do the weather out. Okay. All you gotta do is say, it's cold, it's warm, it's raining, it's snowing. That's it.
Hi, everybody. Good morning. Welcome to Today.
This is so healthy.
Doesn't it just feel good to be back to school?
It does.
Yes.
Start today.
Welcome back to Today. We got a lot to celebrate on this Wednesday morning. It's good to have you along with us.
You don't know when your moment's coming, but when it does, you take it.
Everybody's good, and that's it.
These are our missing daughters and sons.
We need anyone who saw something to come forward.
She was wearing a black jacket, a black top.
I'm gonna bring my son home alive.
Dateline Missing in America. Listen to the full season now. Today is now a podcast available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back to Today. We got a lot to celebrate on this Wednesday morning. It's good to have you along with us.
You don't know when your moment's coming, but when it does, you take it.
Everybody's good, and that's it.
These are our missing daughters and sons.
We need anyone who saw something to come forward.
She was wearing a black jacket, a black top.
I'm gonna bring my son home alive.
Dateline Missing in America. Listen to the full season now.
You open the door for so many people.
I love working with people. I did not do any of this by myself.
Hello! Lizzo, you put a smile on every single face.
It feel like Christmas or my birthday or something.
Welcome back to Today. We got a lot to celebrate on this Wednesday morning. It's good to have you along with us.
You don't know when your moment's coming, but when it does, you take it.
Everybody's good, and that's it.
Hallie Jackson Now. Weekdays at 5 on NBC News Now.
NBC News, streaming free now.
So your parents, your producers, your actors, actresses, your game show hosts, you guys leave this crazy life. Is there anything that you've got on the bucket list that you haven't done yet that you want to tackle?
I'm recently obsessed with Formula One, so I do intend to go to see some races in foreign countries, which my lovely bride is going to facilitate because she took a movie in England and in September, and the conversation literally went like this. She said, so I was pitched a movie. It happens in England. It's going to be with my favorite singer, Ben Platt. It's short. I've already figured out what Formula One races you could go to. If you're in England, you could base out of there. Like, she came with the big carrot. And I was like, hold on a second. So I might get to go to Turkey to the Formula One race. And she said, yeah, I think that could happen. And I was like, you should take this movie. Sounds like a great movie.
Because we do, when we take any work, we make decisions as a group. Like, nobody just something like neither of us would go to New Zealand for 6 months to shoot. It would just be crazy stressful on our family. So I knew I had to come up with a really good pitch if I wanted to do this movie. And thankfully he bit. And so, we'll be traveling safely this fall.
I won't. I'm going to be juggling chainsaws the whole flight, Cal.
But anything we haven't done, I don't think so. I don't know. We don't strategize, to be honest. It's pretty loosey-goosey around here.
It is, and I got to say, it's a great, great freedom. I lamented about time moving faster, but the freedom of getting older is that I don't have aspirations anymore. There's no one I'm trying to be. We're just here. Sometimes someone calls and says, "You want to come over and do this thing?" And then we do it. Like it's transitioned, at least for me, where it's not like the goal has kind of been erased, and I love it. So now it's just really about process every time. Like, would that be fun for us? Would we enjoy doing that? And that's a humongous luxury that is new to us.
I'm a huge animation fan, and I would say you both have some pretty cool animation projects coming up.
Some cooler than others, but yeah. I'm in the Paw Patrol movie, which I did with the sole goal of having something my kids would be excited to see me in. It's a very egotistical driven decision. And as luck would have it, in about the 2 years it takes to make a movie, I've noticed we're not watching Paw Patrol as much as I would like. I had this whole fantasy where they were going to be counting down the days till Friday. I was going to take them to the movies. We're going to do popcorn the whole night. And I'm like, hey guys, no one wants to check out Paw Patrol this weekend? Wait, you guys are watching sitcoms? When did this happen?
How about you, Kristen?
Well, two of my friends had this idea to create a kids cartoon in the wake of a lot of arts programs being cut from public schools because the budgets just aren't there. And music was so pivotal to me. It brought me to acting. It brought me to so many different things in my life. So we created this show called Do Re Mi. It'll be on Amazon in September. And
Do Re and Me.
Do Re and Me. I play me. And it's about 3 little songbirds, and it is entertainment for children, but we have pushed in a lot of there's music theory ideas. They live in this place called Bebopsburg, where like instruments grow on trees. We talk about different instruments, then we talk about different types of music from around the world. And it's really a music education class, but masked as a kid's cartoon. So your kids are sort of absorbing all these things that data and science tells us helps their brain with math, with communication, with social activities. Like music actually does that for your brain. It's why they play Little Einstein for babies when they're in the womb. It really does great things for your brain. And so, yeah, these 3 little songbirds, and then we'll have like games to go along with it that will be educational, where the kids can make their own music and they can learn how to, have teammates in a band and stuff. So we're really hoping that fills the gap of music education for kids, because I think every kid deserves it.
Live from Ukraine, from Uvalde, Texas, from Mayfield, Kentucky. To cover the news, you have to be in it. This is how so many towns and cities are protecting themselves. You can actually see they're pushing the gates open. Was there a school officer on campus? That's what we've been told. No. Do you remember any tornado as bad as this one? You look at this and you're thinking, we're not going to have power for weeks, if not months. Exactly. Every night, it's your news playlist.
Top Story with Tom Llamas, weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
NBC News, streaming free now.
The day's biggest political stories with trusted insight now and expert analysis now. A daily look at the politics behind the headlines. Meet the Press Now, streaming weekdays at 4 p.m. on NBC News Now. Top Story with Tom Llamas, weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
News is happening now.
Look at what's making headlines around the world.
Right now on Morning News Now.
We're coming on the air with breaking news.
And this is a significant moment.
Whenever it happens, wherever you are, NBC News, streaming free now.
I love the title Queen Pins. I mean, it's perfect. Tell me about this.
It's a baller title. Well, it's a true story about these suburban housewives who felt down on their luck, started a counterfeit coupon organization, and they laundered $40 million. And you can read about it in the news. And Aaron and Gita, these beautiful filmmakers, who's a husband and wife team, made it into a script. And I shot it with Kirby Howell-Baptiste, who's one of my favorite actresses ever. This is project number 5 with her, and I will continue to work with her. So it was really fun. It's got Paul Walker Hauser, Vince Vaughn, and it's just a really fun Queen Pins comedy about these girls trying to evade the law and make some money. And I had so much fun doing it.
And Dax, one of the great pleasures of technology of these podcasts, and your podcast, we, time in and time out, is really, it's like this whole other version of you, yet it is you. Are you surprised at how much people love this podcast? I mean, it really is something that it seems like maybe you did on a lark, but my gosh, it is terrific.
Thank you so much. It's a humongous surprise. The trajectory of my working career has been work really hard for a couple years and then have the movie come out on Friday and then want to die on Saturday. So that's my work reward muscle memory is a little skewed. And so yeah, to do something that I worked less hard on and that was really successful is very disorienting. I don't know. But I will say, I think any credit that I could take, I would just have to give it to AA, because I think my original goal in the podcast was like, oh, I get to go to these meetings every week. It's all men. They're sharing openly. They're admitting their character defects, the ways they've erred and what they learned from it. And I'm picking up all this stuff. And the level of vulnerability and honesty and support is so unique. Why doesn't everyone get to experience this? Why does one have to go be an alcoholic to have this peer experience? And so that was kind of the North Star of the podcast. Like, oh, what if we could do this in public? What if I could start first and go like, oh yeah, all these things happened to me and this is how I did it. And I messed up this way and get the ball rolling that way instead of like, how'd you win that Oscar? Boy, you were great. Like, I think there's some other conversation to be had that is not unique to AA, but it was seemingly unique to the podcast space. So I think that's why.
Well, I think the honesty of it and the just almost, and I don't mean this in a negative, but the rawness of it is something that we're just not used to in pop, our pop social world right now.
I try when I'm feeling very lofty about myself, I think of it as a bit of an antidote to 140 characters, a curated life of pictures on Instagram, all these things that are snapshots. I'm much more interested in like the whole thing and not the time that you got the angle where I actually look like my nose is average size. Like, that's not what we're after.
Well, it succeeds, my friend, and to both of you. And before we go, I circle back to Family Game Fight. What was it like? I mean, did you enjoy working together?
More than ever on this one. We just in general enjoy working together because, and we've said this before, so I sound a little inauthentic, but in life, every day there's 9 options for us to disagree. We don't have a common goal. We don't want to eat at the same place. We aren't in the mood to watch the same TV show. We don't have the same opinion on what we should do with the kids as parents. It's just a nonstop waterfall of compromise. When we work together, it's this rare bubble where we have the exact same goal. Like, we want the show to be great. And then even more than that, it's rare, I think, for partners in a marriage to be the benefactor of their partner's genius. So if I'm out on stage in this game show, It's on my shoulders and it's on hers. And she is like, she's John Stockton and I'm Malone, or vice versa, or she's, I'm Pittman, she's George. Like, I look at her and I go, oh my God, she's going to do more than half the lifting, maybe even more than half the lifting. She's so good at this. Watch her go. Oh my God, I feel safe in like my teammate. It's just a rare thing, I think, to get to experience in a marriage.
No, it was beautiful. But yeah, he's also said before, you don't get to go to work with your partner and see them thrive. If your partner is an accountant, you don't get to go to work and see them do a spreadsheet or add numbers. Yes, smash a spreadsheet. But we get to go to work and see each other be a sort of in our element, be our best. And it's also the safety net as an actor to have someone you trust so much next to you. So having a common goal mitigates any sort of arguments that could happen or compromises, because we're just on track with a common goal. And that's something really beautiful. And we always come home feeling very grateful for each other.
Yeah, some people go away to like nice hotels for a week to rekindle, and we go shoot for 90 hours and we come out thinking like, yeah, I picked the right one.
And you get paid.
That's right.
Oh, guys.
And Doji coin, which we regret.
Oh, well, but it's a cute little dog. So.
It is. I think that's what got us.
Gets everybody. Guys, thanks so much. It's great to see you.
Thank you, Al. A lot of fun.
Yes. Yeah, thanks.
A big hello and thanks for joining us for a special edition of Pop Start Plus. I'm Joe Fryer, filling in for Carson. Today on the show, we're taking a moment to indulge in the past and revisit our favorite nostalgic summer movies. We're going to take a look at why we feel the way we do when we watch those older summer flicks. And you're killing me, Smalls. Today, contributor Donna Farazan spoke to the cast of a movie that defines the season, The Sandlot. We found out why it still resonates today. And to close out our special show, we've got our friend Chris Witherspoon, founder and CEO of Pop Viewers. He's counting down the most nostalgic summer movie scenes of all time. Stay with us for all of that. It'll be great. To kick things off, here's a deep dive into how watching nostalgic films makes us feel, especially during the heat of summer.
Summer in itself is a great example of a trigger for nostalgia because it connotes many of the attributes that accompany nostalgia, such as longing for the carefreeness, the leisure of childhood. But when you watch something like a movie that's set at summer camp, you've got so many stimuli there that are reminding us that in our hectic, busy lives, should we not occasionally take a break?
So, either of you by any chance know how to play poker? Yeah, never played it before.
Roosevelt, how's that lanyard coming?
Horrible. Film is a really good example of a medium that has all of the triggers for different kinds of sensory experiences, visual, auditory, such as the music in a film. And so you have all these varieties of sensory stimuli that help you to mentally transport yourself in two ways, by the way. One, when you're just remembering the past, you're transporting yourself back to that time. An interesting finding recently showed that when people just reminisce nostalgically, they even feel a little more healthy and vibrant, and they have more vitality. Why? Because when you transport yourself back, you're feeling a little bit of the feelings you felt when you were younger. Nostalgic films, especially for looking back to your beloved favorite childhood movies, those were a source of great comfort.
Shut up! You're killing me, Smalls. Dear Darla, I hate your stinking guts.
Their time! Up there! Down here, it's our time! It's our time down here!
In fact, in film, for example, we believe from the research data that there are characters in movies that serve as surrogates for us. So when you watch a film that you loved in the past, not only are you remembering when you watched it, with whom did you watch it, the conversations you had at the time, maybe you went out to the movies with friends or what have you. But in addition to that, as you watch characters in films play out their own problems and resolve them through this vicarious resolution, you feel that hope and optimism, which is a lot like the happy ending of many stories that we've seen throughout our lives, right? If you wanted to log them according to seasons of the year, for instance, summer is a great time. And what operates as a nostalgic film, it could be something like Star Wars, Episode 1, for a generation who saw that for the first time, either as children, teenagers, or young adults. And to some extent, it's transporting them not just to the film and the enjoyment of the film, but also it gives someone the ability to reflect upon, what did it mean to me when I saw that as a kid, and now what would I think of it now? So sometimes when we rewatch an old film, we're comparing our understanding as full-fledged adults, or our understanding now that we've lived through so much, with what we thought when we first saw it. Also, for the elderly today, they might think back to the great summer films that were beach movies. You know, the parties on the beach and playing volleyball on the beach. When you think about transportation mentally through a film, now you have added onto it that you might transport yourself to somebody else's past or to somebody else's experience, not necessarily your own. So fiction can be enjoyed and benefited from, even in terms of nostalgia. For instance, a lot of nostalgic films incorporate within the plot or within the character lines, characters remembering back to their past.
I can still recall our last summer. I still see it all. Walks along the Seine, laughing in the rain.
I was the last one to move away, but when I did, the Sandlot was still there.
And then when you watch that, then that prompts you to sort of mentally transport yourself with that character back to their past as well. So it's very rich. Film is a very rich medium.
Our thanks to Professor Christine Batcho for sharing all of her findings and insights with us, a little better understanding of why those films make us feel so good. Still to come, even more nostalgia and more fun. Donna Farazan's chat with the Sandlot stars who played Yaya and Squints.
The day's biggest political stories with trusted insight now and expert analysis now. A daily look at the politics behind the headlines. Meet the Press Now, streaming weekdays at 4 p.m. on NBC News Now.
What do you love about fatherhood?
The chaos, the learning.
Is climate change one of your top priorities?
What's your message to girls who want to make a difference in their own communities?
Believe in yourself.
News is happening now.
Look at what's making headlines around the world.
Right now on Morning News Now.
We're coming on the air with breaking news.
And this is a significant moment.
Whenever it happens, wherever you are, NBC News, streaming free now. News is happening now.
Look at what's making headlines around the world.
We're coming on the air with breaking news.
This is a significant moment.
Whenever it happens, wherever you are, NBC News, streaming free now.
Hallie Jackson Now, weekdays at 5 on NBC News Now.
Today is now a podcast available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back to our Pop Start Plus special, all about nostalgic summer movies. Now, if you're a 90s kid, you'll remember the 1993 release of a movie about a ragtag pack who loved playing ball. And it changed how we think about summer forever. Today, contributor Donna Farazan spoke to two of the stars from The Sandlot, Chauncey Leopardi, who played Squints, and Marty York, who played Yaya. They shared the responses they still get about the movie set during a summer back in 1962.
Was the summer you filmed The Sandlot the best summer of your lives?
It was for sure the best summer of my life.
Yeah.
I don't think anything, compares to it since then. And I think we just had a blast. It was summer camp for like 2 or 3 months that we filmed over the summer, and definitely the best.
Yeah, it was pretty great. It's hard to beat. Obviously, I love my family, and I wouldn't want my wife to think that, my 11-year-old summer was the best summer of my life. But it was pretty awesome, hanging out with friends and having that experience, and then getting to share it with the rest of the world forever. It's just it's a pretty amazing thing.
This film represents the best of summer, the 4th of July celebrations, the carnival, kids playing ball, the s'mores, you name it. There's so many different elements. Why do you think The Sandlot is a film that has defined summertime for a lot of people?
It takes people back to an era of the United States where kids went outside and they played, and when the sun went down, that's when they went home.
I want you to get out into the fresh air and make some friends. Run around, scrape your knees, get dirty.
You had adventures during the day.
It'll be 30 years next year, first of all. How does that feel for you guys?
It's amazing. I mean, anytime you do a film, you never know what the results are going to be. But to still be here talking about this 30 years later, and to see it still affecting people's lives for the better that's kind of why you're in the arts. It's the reason that you want to do. That's what you set out when you have passion about a project, is to hope that you get one that changes things, forevermore. So it's a blessing. And we appreciate all the love and support that we've gotten over the years.
What were your favorite scenes to film for each of your characters?
I loved all of the baseball stuff. Obviously, was a lot of fun. When we played the other team, it was a blast. Filming the whole chase scene, we did that for 2 weeks. So just the dog chasing Benny and all the different stuff. That was a lot of fun as well. I think that there's something to find that was cool about everything. And even in the treehouse stuff, that treehouse was amazing. This is when they really built sets for film still. There was no green screens or anything like that. So that was all real craftsmanship. A carpenter, the construction guys on set actually built those sets. So they were so cool and so in depth, Mr. Myrtle's house. And it was a really cool time in filmmaking because you still had all of the crafts really showcasing their work, whereas now maybe things are a little bit more reliant on computer generated software and stuff like that. So it was a cool time to kind of see them fabricate this really cool film and these really cool sets.
Obviously, my favorite scene was going over the fence to come face to face with the beast and being on that crane. And it's really cool because, back then, kids could do their own stunts, which would never happen nowadays. And just a lot of the stuff that I didn't even see till the final picture came out. The 4th of July scene, we filmed that with just literally lights and gels that they put in front to make it look like fireworks were going off. When we filmed that, it didn't seem that iconic to me until you put Ray Charles to it, until you put the fireworks in the sky. And when we saw the final product, we were like, wow, that really that's an amazing scene. So it's just movie magic.
God done shed his grace on thee.
What kind of memories do people, tell you that they have that are related to The Sandlot? What do the fans come up to you and say?
Everybody that relates to Squints that has the glasses, or I get a lot of the pictures and the photos. Sometimes as growing up, having glasses is always something that people could be a little reserved about or feel like they get picked on a little bit. So it's cool to have that cool character that people can relate to, that makes them feel like this is a superpower, not the opposite.
How do you think The Sandlot has helped empower young people to feel more included, be more inclusive, and, feel okay to embrace their differences?
It's awesome because this is a bunch of kids of all shapes, colors, and sizes. They're all different. They all have their little thing. And, the main character is a kid that's filling out a place and coming from somewhere else and really not fitting in. And it starts off with his struggle of trying to connect with his stepfather and trying to connect with these kids in this new neighborhood. And it takes a guy like Benny, who is obviously a very strong character and an amazing baseball player and a total star, to just say, leave him alone. We need an extra guy, and this guy's gonna be it, So it's about including people regardless of, what the masses feel. So I think it has a lot to say about, real American values, because that's what America is. It's a melting pot of different cultures and different people that find common ground to create a better life for themselves.
Really cool to hear from those two. We're going to share more from them after the break, including what it was like to film that famous pool scene featuring Squints and Wendy Peppercorn.
Today is now a podcast available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
To cover the news, you have to be in it. This is how so many towns and cities are protecting themselves. They're pushing the gates open. Was there a school officer on campus? That's what we've been told.
No. Top Story with Tom Llamas, weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now. For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app. Hallie Jackson Now, weekdays at 5 on NBC News Now. For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
Today is now a podcast available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
To cover the news, you have to be in it. This is how so many towns and cities are protecting themselves. They're pushing the gates open. Was there a school officer on campus? That's what we've been told.
No. Top Story with Tom Llamas, weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
NBC News, streaming free now.
Let's go. This is a critical choke point for this fire. And good evening from New Orleans. Nice to really spend some time with you. Appreciate
it. For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app. Hallie Jackson Now, weekdays at 5 on NBC News Now.
NBC News, streaming free now.
We'll meet Ukrainians who are defending their country one block at a time. When you were still in Kiev, could you hear the bombing? My name is Lester. Who's this?
Welcome back to our special episode of Pop Star Plus. Let's pick back up with Donna Fairzahn's conversation with two stars from The Sandlot, Marty York and Chauncey Leopardi, who spoke about that very pivotal pool scene and the impact it's had on young kids today.
Chauncey, you were talking about, Wendy Peppercorn and that pool scene, which is so iconic when your character almost drowns and then gets saved by the lifeguard that everyone has a crush on. What do you remember from shooting that scene?
God, he looks like a dead fish.
It was really cold. It was a really hot summer, but during the time that we shot the pool scene, it had dipped down into like the 70s, and we were shooting early mornings for the light, and it was freezing cold. So in a lot of those scenes, you can see us like shivering in the pool. I know it was like a big anticipation for me leading up to that. I kept asking the director, is today the day? Is today the day? You know what I mean? It was my first kissing scene, so
Wow.
Pretty exciting.
That is exciting. That's amazing. Just as we talked about earlier too, so much that has happened, or the emotions that are evoked from The Sandlot, translate into real life as well. On the Today Show, Hoda recently interviewed the three boys who had saved the dad who became unconscious underwater in their pool. It's an amazing story. They performed CPR on him, saved his life, and they credited learning CPR through watching The Sandlot and through that specific scene.
Now, who took a CPR class? Raise your hand. Nobody? But you did know, because what was one of your favorite movies?
The Sandlot.
What was your reaction to that news?
That's just incredible. Here we are 30 years later, and something that someone saw that we did 30 years ago saved their father's life. I mean, it makes you want to tear up, because it's such a beautiful thing. And, wherever we get the information from, it's great, So to be the force that helped them do that for their father, I'll never forget it.
Every time I come across a fan of The Sandlot, they always talk about it in a way that they feel so comforted and cozy when watching it. It brings them back to a different time. Why do you think people feel so comforted when watching The Sandlot?
It's timeless. The way David Mickey Evans, the writer and director, shot it, he told the DP, Tony Richmond, he told him, I want it to look like Kodak chromatic film. So that's like an old, very pop arty type of film from the 60s. And he said, I want it to look like that. And I think because of the setting, had he have done it in the 90s when we shot it and placed it present day, I don't think it would have lasted and stood the test of time. It's like a Bel Air. It's like a 57 Chevy, it's something that the lines on it are going to be clean forever. And no matter what, you're always going to get a nostalgic feeling when you go see these old cars at these car shows, and just a storied time in American history. And because it's just frozen in time, I think that it stands the test of time, because it is a time capsule, like Marty said. It takes you to a happy place where, good or bad, we felt like everything was a little bit simpler.
Thank you to Marty and Chauncey for hanging out with us. Still to come, we've queued up some of the most nostalgic summer movie scenes of all time. Do we got any Parent Trap fans out there? Stick with us.
Hi, everybody. Good morning. Welcome to Today.
We are going to start with some good news.
Doesn't it just feel good to be back to school?
Does. Yes. This is so healthy.
Here's what's happening in York. The crowd is ready. SG, you ready?
Refresh and reorganize for fall.
Start today.
Live from Ukraine, from Uvalde, Texas, from Mayfield, Kentucky. To cover the news, you have to be in it. This is how so many towns and cities are protecting themselves. You can actually see they're pushing the gates open. Was there a school officer on campus? That's what we've been told. Mel, do you remember any tornado as bad as this one? You look at this and you're thinking, we're not going to have power for weeks, if not months. Exactly. Every night, it's your news playlist.
Top Story with Tom Yamas. Weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
News is happening now.
Look at what's making headlines around the world.
Right now on Morning News Now.
We're coming on the air with breaking news.
And this is a significant moment.
Whenever it happens, wherever you are, NBC News, streaming free now.
Welcome back to our special episode of Pop Start Plus. We are diving into everything you need to know about nostalgic summer movies. And who better to guide us along than Chris Witherspoon? He is the founder and CEO of Pop Viewers, and he's about to take us on a lovely trip down memory lane with some of the most nostalgic summer movie scenes ever.
Is there anything that beats the warm weather, the long sun-filled days and fun that comes with summertime? Whether you went to camp or hung out by the pool, spent time with family and friends, or had 7 jobs like me, summer was always filled with terrific memories of growing up. Unfortunately, we'll never be kids again, but luckily, we'll always have movies to turn to that transport us back to those days, no matter what decade you grew up in. Let's count down as we watch some of the best nostalgic summer movie scenes of all time. First up, Weekend at Bernie's. It's an absolute classic. Now grab your sunblock and flip-flops because you'll be wanting to enjoy a weekend at the beach after watching this one. In it, Jonathan Silverman and Andrew McCarthy play friends who are invited for a weekend at their boss's opulent beach house. Lots of shenanigans ensue that ultimately lead to their boss, Bernie's, death. But to avoid ruining their weekend, Richard and Larry pretend he's still alive. Let's take a look at the clip.
You're probably right.
Get it together, Bernie.
Here we go, shoot, move it over a little bit, okay, baby?
I don't understand why we have to move him, Rich. Oh, don't ask me any questions, Larry. Just move him. Oh. Here we go. Ready? I can't believe I'm touching a dead body. Here's your boss. Come on. Let's go. Whoa.
Oh, Bernie.
I want to get her up. Oh, Bernie, you're on this, darling. Come on.
That's what you call some dead weight.
Knucklehead. Come on, let's go. Come on, he's crazy. Here we go.
Wait, is there an award for playing the best dead guy? If so, Terry Kaiser deserves it. If you're looking to laugh like there's no tomorrow, add this film to your summer watch list. Next up, one of almost everyone's favorites, The Notebook. Ryan Gosling and Rachel McAdams killed these roles as lovers who were always meant to be together. Who could forget the moment when Noah and Allie reunited after 7 years apart? Did he just pick that boat up with his bare hands? I think he did.
I waited for you for 7 years. Now it's too late.
I wrote you 365 letters. I wrote you every day for a year.
You wrote me?
Yes. It wasn't over. Still isn't over.
Ooh. That's a kiss right there. Ooh. Talk about a hot girl summer. Even all that rain couldn't cool those two down. On to another fun one, Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Now, if you watch this as a teen, then you got tons of ideas of how to spend the perfect day playing hooky. Matthew Broderick stars, of course, as Ferris Bueller, and the movie starts a month before Ferris's high school graduation. Ferris ends up at a museum, a baseball game, a fancy restaurant, you name it. One of the most hilarious moments was when his teacher realizes he's missing from class. Let's watch this clip.
Anderson.
Here.
Bueller. Bueller. Bueller.
He's sick. My best friend's sister's boyfriend's brother's girlfriend heard from this guy who knows this kid is going with the girl who saw Ferris pass out at 31 Flavors last night.
Now she can lie.
Pretty serious.
That's a good lie.
Thank you, Simone.
No problem whatsoever.
Fry.
Oh my God. Ben Stein's boring monotone delivery gets me every time. And P.S. Find yourself a coworker that will be your alias next time you want to ditch work on a summer Friday. Everybody needs one of those. Now, Clueless is one of those timeless movies following a group of popular high school friends. If you didn't know, it's a modernization of Jane Austen's Emma, and it's got an amazing cast. Alicia Silverstone and Paul Rudd, and of course, the late great Brittany Murphy. Just to name a few. Check out this scene where Cher, played by Silverstone, makes the case for not participating in PE class.
Earth to Cher! Come in, Cher!
Oh my God. Miss Stoger, I would just like to say that physical education in this school is a disgrace. I mean, standing in
gym
line
outfits.
for 40 minutes is hardly
Different
aerobically
outfits.
effective. I doubt I've worked off the calories in a stick of carefree gum.
Come on, Cher. I feel like in this scene, Cher could have just said, as if, and been done with it. Clueless does take place throughout all 4 seasons, but real talk, those Beverly Hills vibes will have you feeling like you're on vacation. Another fun summer love story with lots of dancing. You guessed it, Dirty Dancing. Jennifer Grey and Patrick Swayze play Baby and Johnny, and the two fall in love after being paired as dance partners. Now, one of the most iconic movie lines ever came from the scene where Johnny proclaims his love for Baby before the movie's final epic dance performance. Let's watch.
Nobody puts Baby in a corner.
Tell him.
Sorry about the disruption, folks. But I always do the last dance of the season. But this year, somebody told me not to. So I'm gonna do my kind of dancing with a great partner.
Sit down.
It's not only a terrific dancer.
Dirty dance.
Somebody who's taught me that there are people willing to stand up for other people, no matter what it costs them.
The best part's yet to come. I am declaring it now. Nobody puts Baby in the corner is one of the most iconic movie lines of all time. Try to tell me it's not. Alas, if only all of our summers could end with a sultry summer dance routine. And next up, one of my favorites, Poetic Justice. Janet Jackson, Regina King, and Tupac Shakur gave legendary performances in this film. They play friends who road trip to Oakland, California, and basically fall in love along the way. Poetic Justice is another one of those films that will definitely have you crying and laughing, but I love this scene where the friends crash a random family barbecue. Let's take a look.
I don't think so.
My cousin. Look at my family over here. My cousins. What's up, cousin? How you doing, boy? Cousin. What's up, cousin? What's up? I ain't seen you and I don't know where. Yeah.
Janet Jackson knows how to give a good stank face, and sometimes all you gotta say is cousin. And you guys, I'm pleading the fifth on if I've ever crashed a barbecue for a burger. Please don't judge me. And last, but certainly not least, I doubt you've ever gone a summer without watching this one, The Parent Trap. The remake stars Lindsay Lohan and tells the story of twin sisters who meet and realize they are really sisters at summer camp. The moment they see each other and realize how much they look alike is priceless. Let's take a look. A new camp champ, come on.
They look alike.
Those freckles get me every time.
Why is everyone staring?
Do we have Kleenex handy?
See
Please?
what?
I need them.
Resemblance between
This part gets me every time.
Resemblance between you and me?
Oh my God, every time that movie gets me. You know, I watched this movie so many times as a kid, and you couldn't tell me Lindsay Lohan didn't have a twin sister in real life. It's definitely one to add to the rotation, y'all. Okay, we just gave you a taste of a few surefire summer flicks. Now I know we outside again, but with this summer heat, nothing beats a good old movie night. We hope you have a blast watching or rewatching some of our favorite picks.
So many great recommendations. Our thanks to Chris for bringing them to us and for giving us all a boost with your terrific reactions. We should mention you can download the Pop Viewers app from the App Store. That was our Pop Start Plus Nostalgic Summer Movie Special here on Today All Day. Thank you for tuning in. Hope you had as much fun as we did revisiting some of our favorite films from the past. It's been a pleasure to bring them to you. Have a great day.
Well, hello to all of our friends out there watching Today All Day. Hope you had a great weekend. Welcome to our digital show, Today at 30. Chanel and I, happy to be here while Savannah and Hoda enjoy some well-deserved time off.
Absolutely. Craig, can you believe it's the last week of August?
I didn't actually think about that till you said it.
It is. Labor Day is right around the corner. And if you're traveling for the holiday, we have a story you just need to see. With complaints about the airlines on the rise, we'll give you solutions to hopefully make your next flight a little smoother.
And of course, Labor Day's arrival means that most kids are going to be back in school. So Vicki Wynn has some creative ways to save on your family's expenses while also avoiding the shortages that we're seeing in a lot of stores.
Also ahead, we're celebrating a drama teacher who's impacted the lives of thousands of students, including some very recognizable faces in Hollywood. And bringing us that story will be one of them, our very own Jacob Soboroff.
And we're going to close things out with another edition of one of our favorite segments. It's called This Is Today, and it's where we highlight some of the top trending and buzzworthy stories on our website. It's all coming up right now on
Today in 30.
Several key developments over the weekend surrounding that FBI search of former President Donald Trump's Florida home. NBC's senior White House correspondent, Kelly O'Donnell, has the very latest on this one. Kelly O, good morning.
Good morning, Craig. There is a new push from very different corners to learn more about exactly what the FBI seized from the home of former President Donald Trump 3 weeks ago today. And a big question, what was at risk to national security or intelligence assets like spies working for the U.S. government because Mr. Trump kept sensitive secrets at his private club in Florida?
This morning, the latest twists on the Trump FBI search. 2 separate moves for Mar-a-Lago damage control. First, the director of national intelligence has told key leaders in Congress that she has launched an assessment of the potential risk to national security if secrets seized from the former president's home had been compromised. 11 sets of classified documents were removed in the search, plus another 184 classified documents recovered earlier, as described in the affidavit. Democrats say that danger is real.
He could be putting our national security at risk. He could be putting the lives of individual people who work for the United States at risk.
And the second legal twist. A Florida federal judge appointed by President Trump writes that she is prepared to grant his request to appoint what's known as a special master, an independent official to review everything seized by the FBI. The judge also wants a more detailed list of what was removed and where those documents are now. Judge Aileen Cannon is giving the DOJ until tomorrow to respond. Some Republicans say more oversight of this investigation is needed.
If you're going to take unprecedented
unprecedented action and raid a former president's house, well, you better have a strategy for unprecedented transparency.
But other Republicans say Mr. Trump should have complied immediately.
I understand he turned over a lot of documents. He should have turned over all of them.
It'll be up to DOJ whether or not that reaches the level of indictment. But this is disgusting in my mind. And like this, no president should act this way, obviously.
Still, Mr. Trump's allies warn such a move by the DOJ could be met with major backlash.
I'll say this. If there's a prosecution of Donald Trump for mishandling classified information, there'll be riots in the streets.
Former President Trump has used his social media to insist he has done nothing wrong and to repeatedly accuse the Justice Department and FBI of political persecution, even prosecutorial misconduct. And there will be a hearing this Thursday on that issue involving the special master. Craig?
Kelly O'Donnell for us there in Washington. Kelly, thank you.
The kickoff of Labor Day weekend is almost here. So this morning, we're helping you with your travel plans.
Yeah, it's been a chaotic summer for the airlines, and a new report from the Department of Transportation shows customer complaints skyrocketed in June.
So, if you were packing your bags for the long holiday weekend, or maybe...
We'll meet Ukrainians who are defending their country one block at a time. When you were still in Kiev, could you hear the bombing? My name is Lester. Hey, who's this?
These are our missing daughters and sons.
We need anyone who saw something to come forward.
She was wearing a black jacket, a black top.
I'm gonna bring my son home alive.
Dateline, Missing in America. Listen to the full season now.
Live from Ukraine, from Uvalde, Texas, from Mayfield, Kentucky. To cover the news, you have to be in it. This is how so many towns and cities are protecting themselves. You can actually see they're pushing the gates open. Was there a school officer on campus? That's what we've been told. No. Do you remember any tornado as bad as this one? You look at this and you're thinking, we're not going to have power for weeks. It's not months. Exactly. Every night, it's your news playlist.
Top Story with Tom Yamas. Weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now. Now Tonight with Joshua Johnson. Streaming weeknights at 8 on NBC News Now.
News is happening now.
To look at what's making headlines around the world.
We're coming on the air with breaking news.
This is a significant moment.
Whenever it happens, wherever you are, NBC News, streaming free now.
Today is now a podcast available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Your holiday plans in a few months. NBC's Sam Brock has some tips for us this morning. Sam is at Miami International Airport. Good to see you again, my friend. What you got?
Always a pleasure, Craig. Tom, Chanel, good morning. You know, the mid-year report card, if you want to call it that, from passengers confirmed what a lot of people already believe, which is that this June was a travel disaster, so much so that the DOT is now looking at new rules to try to hold airlines accountable. Now, the airlines say that their performance improved markedly in July, with the next big test, Labor Day, quickly approaching. This morning, with summer travel winding down, a new report reveals significant elevation in travel complaints. The Department of Transportation releasing a consumer report which found airline complaints soared to sky-high levels in June, up nearly 35% from May and almost 270% from before the pandemic. In the first 6 months of 2022 alone, there have been more complaints than all of 2019. The new numbers, no surprise for those who took to the skies this summer.
It has been the worst experience ever.
With airline reliability, or lack thereof, topping the list of gripes. The report zeroes in on which airlines were the most punctual. Alaska, Delta, and Hawaiian Airlines landed on time most often, though all were well below historic norms from the last 20 years. While Frontier, JetBlue, and Allegiant make up the bottom three with the highest rate of delays. Allegiant landing around 2 out of every 5 flights late. The airline telling us it continues to be impacted by an unprecedented labor shortage, adding they are actively working to mitigate the problem. On the cancellation front, American, Delta, and United all saw the highest cancellation rates this June, though they also offered the most flights. American and Delta tell us they have since improved their operations.
June was the worst month of the year when it comes to flight delays and cancellations. Now, I think things have improved significantly, but I think it really underscores just how bad things got with air travel.
One key tip ahead of the holiday travel boom: book early flights. The report finding those flights were about 25% more likely to be on time than those at the end of the day. And if you're caught in a travel nightmare with a delayed or canceled flight, be sure to ask the airline for compensation.
Everything is on the table, and it never hurts to ask.
Still, some hope for travelers heading into the fall. Many experts are expecting ticket prices to drop after the busy summer season. And of course, if you take to the road instead, gas prices are still falling. Good news for drivers over Labor Day weekend.
And Sam, ticket prices are going down, fortunately. But what about those delays and cancellations you mentioned? Is flying going to get any smoother going forward?
It's a great question, Chanel. It's on the top of a lot of travelers' minds. The biggest change so far that's come from the airlines, they've trimmed down their schedules and boosted staffing across the board, knowing that the status quo right now is not acceptable. But the Department of Transportation has now also opened up a 90-day public comment period as they're looking at changes. One possibility would affect refunds. Right now, to get a refund, your flight either needs to be canceled or have a, quote, significant delay. But significant has not been defined. These rules potentially would define it as 3 hours or more for a domestic flight, 6 hours or more for international. That could make a huge difference when it comes to airports and airlines specifically not wanting to keep you from waiting to get onto the flight.
An incentive to get us out on time.
Exactly.
That's good. All right. Thank you, Sam. The start of a week that marks 25 years since the loss of Princess Diana.
The actual anniversary is on Wednesday, but over the weekend, Prince Harry spoke out at an event to honor his mother's legacy.
Princess Diana's legacy as impactful as ever this morning on the week marking 25 years since her fatal car crash.
Harry's gonna take it forward.
Prince Harry honoring his mother through charity after his winning polo team in Aspen raised a record amount last week.
My dear friend Prince Saiso and I founded Centre Bali 16 years ago in honor of our mothers.
The money will help children in Africa impacted by poverty, inequality, and HIV/AIDS, a cause that was very close to Princess Diana's heart. The Duke of Sussex paying tribute to his mother ahead of the 25th anniversary since her tragic death.
And she most certainly will never be forgotten. I want it to be a day filled with memories of her incredible work and love for the way that she did it. I want it to be a day to share the spirit of my mum with my family, with my children who I wish could have met her.
But on a day that many thought could bring Prince Harry and his brother Prince William together, it seems longtime tensions will keep them apart.
A lot of people here looking at the two brothers, remembering that it's 25 years since their mother died, would just love to think that this would be the occasion where they might patch up their relationship. But so far, there's no sign that that's going to happen.
The two have made it clear that the 20th anniversary of their mother's passing was the last time they would publicly mark the occasion.
It still seems that there is significant bad blood between them. It goes back to the courtship of Harry and Meghan and the wedding.
The brothers did unite last summer to unveil a statue of Princess Diana at Kensington Palace for what would have been her 60th birthday. This week, Prince Harry will reportedly mourn in private with his wife Meghan Markle and their two young children at home in California. And in England, Prince William will do the same with his family as they prepare to move to their new home at Adelaide Cottage in Windsor.
All right, so Kelly, we just heard there the royal family isn't planning any official events, but can we expect anything from the British people?
Yeah, Tom, typically on this very sad anniversary, royal fans come to Kensington Palace. They lay flowers and messages for Princess Diana. And just to show you how strong that emotional tie between the public and the princess still is 25 years later, over the weekend, a Ford Escort that she drove a few times back in 1985 sold at auction for more than $700,000. The auction house said that they had more phone-in bids for that car than they've had in more than a decade. Tom.
Kelly Cobier, of course. Princess Diana in a Ford Escort would not have called out.
In the early days.
She was a princess of the people.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll have much more on the life and legacy of Princess Diana throughout the week. One of the things we'll focus on tomorrow, how Diana's impact is still shaping the monarchy all these years later.
News is happening now.
a look at what's making headlines around the world.
We're coming on the air with breaking news.
This is a significant moment.
Whenever it happens, wherever you are, NBC News, streaming free now.
Hi, everybody. Good morning. Welcome to Today. We are going to start with some good news.
Doesn't it just feel good to be back to school?
It does.
Yes. This is so healthy.
Here's what's happening in York.
The crowd is ready. SG, you ready?
Refresh and reorganize for fall.
Start today.
These are our missing daughters and sons.
We need anyone who saw something to come forward.
She was wearing a black jacket, a black top.
I'm gonna bring my son home alive.
Dateline, Missing in America. Listen to the full season now.
For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
Hi, everybody. Good morning. Welcome to Today. We are going to start with some good news.
Doesn't it just feel good to be back to school?
It does.
Yes. This is so healthy.
Here's what's happening in York.
The crowd is ready. SG, you ready?
Refresh and reorganize for fall.
Start today.
To cover the news, you have to be in it. This is how so many towns and cities are protecting themselves. They're pushing the gates open. Was there a school officer on campus? That's what we've been told.
No. Top Story with Tom Yamas. Weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now. Hallie Jackson Now. Weekdays at 5 on NBC News Now. For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
We're back with our series dedicated to all things back to school. With prices and inflation still high, all that shopping is probably taking a bigger toll on your family budget in years past.
So NBC senior consumer investigative correspondent Vicki Nguyen, she did her homework as always and discovered one potential way to save money. Let's hear it. Good morning.
Yes, I'm the shopping nerd for sure. Good morning. Inflation will certainly test all of our family budgets once again, but some parents have found a way to pass with flying colors. To find back to school clothes and other essentials, they're shopping secondhand. As students return to the classroom, parents already doing the math. A recent survey finding families plan to spend about $864 on back-to-school shopping. To make it work, some are turning to the secondhand market.
I want parents to know that it is okay to thrift shop.
Anna Garcia, a mother of two in Queens, New York, began thrifting during the pandemic. She says shopping secondhand helped her stretch her family's dollars without sacrificing style, especially important to her 10-year-old daughter with a passion for fashion.
She's actually been looking for back-to-school clothes because we plan ahead.
Garcia, part of the nearly 60% of consumers who found secondhand savings during inflation. Online clothing thrift company ThredUp says the resale market saw record growth last year and will likely reach $82 billion by 2026 in the U.S. And shoppers like that it's eco-friendly to buy what's already out there.
Our younger shoppers particularly are telling us, I want to buy clothing that's good for the planet. I don't want to be part of the fashion waste problem, but I also want to save money.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Layla Ruzika co-owns Plato's Closet in Middletown, New Jersey. It's a national resale store for teens. Plato's Closet sources 95% of its inventory from the local community. Secondhand stores like this, Buffalo Exchange, Crossroads, and local thrift shops offer a twofer. You can save on clothes, shoes, even backpacks, and make money on gently used items.
Thank you so much for coming. Really appreciate it.
So factory shutdowns overseas, supply chain issues at the ports, none of that affected you.
Exactly. And if anything, our inventory has actually grown a lot because customers do need cash in their pockets.
Shoppers can score bargains on back-to-school basics like denim.
I got 3 pairs of American Eagle jeans, so those are probably 60 to 70 each, new tags. I believe my bill here was $38.
I don't remember the last time I went into like a real store and bought a pair of jeans for like the full price.
If your shopping list includes electronics, you can shop used from places like Swappa, Best Buy, or Amazon. Just make sure your purchases come with a warranty. For a secondhand computer, wipe that hard drive before using it. And for a smartphone, ask the seller for the International Mobile Equipment Identity Number so you can check with your carrier to see if the phone is eligible for activation. For college students who need furniture, try Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, and Kayo. Before buying, check for recalls on the Consumer Product Safety Commission's website. A cheat sheet for finding savings. All right, and when it comes to shopping for those school supplies, experts say talk to your teachers, ask which items are absolutely essential because you may not need everything right at the start of classes. And also consider buying items in bulk. Talk to those other parents on the email list and maybe you can split the glue sticks or the markers. Yeah.
That's a great idea, actually.
And some of those websites I've never heard of either. So.
Yeah, I know. It's a great place to shop if you haven't before, and it's a great place to sell things that you don't need anymore and get that extra cash
I also
back.
think sometimes we just do too much.
Yes.
Like, I think it's okay to just reel it in a little bit. The kids will be just as happy.
Like slow roll it into school.
Yes, you don't have to come to school with all this stuff.
Yeah.
As the new school year gets underway, it got us thinking about some of our favorite teachers and the many ways they shaped our lives.
Mr. Simons, 5th grade. Jacob Soveros joins us now to tell us all about a man who made a big impression on him along with thousands of other students, some of whose names you will recognize. Jacob, good morning.
Hey, Carson, good morning to you. You know, so many of us understand the power of a great teacher because we have all had one who has changed our lives. Ted Walsh is mine, and I had an incredible opportunity to celebrate him at a really special event earlier this month. And as he faces his greatest challenge yet in life, he is still teaching lessons that we can all learn from.
It was a rock star reception in a Los Angeles school gym at a gathering to honor a teacher who's profoundly impacted thousands of students, some you probably know.
Ted Walsh, never enough. Never, never, never.
Children will listen. This is Ted Walsh's final show. Honored at the place where he spent the past 32 years of his life, Harvard Westlake School, teaching theater, cinema studies, and philosophy. Throughout his more than 5-decade career, he's made an indelible mark on students across the country, some who have gone on to touch so many of us.
He shows up time and time again.
He sees who you really are and helps you reach your potential.
He's the reason I'm doing what I'm doing now and why my life is the way it is.
He was eager to have a family of his own. Ted Walsh was my high school drama teacher more than 20 years ago.
For me, the way you touched me, it was not through some aggressive overteaching. It was always simple.
If I do only one thing with my students is treat them as a fellow adult, even though they're not. Treat their ideas with great respect, even though it's kind of ordinary, then let them know they're safe, that you are there supporting them, confident that the end result will work.
Included in the thousands who have learned from Walsh are Jake and Maggie Gyllenhaal, Allison Janney, Ben Platt, Beanie Feldstein, Jason Segel, and Jessica Capshaw. And his impact goes far beyond Hollywood.
If someone said to them, what did Ted Walsh mean to you? They would say everything.
And they would be exaggerating, but they would also be saying, I gave them something that then allowed them to find something that then they exploded.
His pride and commitment extends to every one of his students.
He was very invested in all of our lives and the most impactful class that I've had.
He just treats you like he's like a friend.
Now, our friend, the man who taught us all so much about life, is giving us a lesson in how he's approaching death. The cancer he beat 2 years ago recently returned in a rare, incurable form.
I have often said about death, it's an enemy we all have. It's the one thing that defines us. That struggle to fight it is misplaced. Why not live life the best you can so that when this thing that we all have comes our way is not an enemy, but in fact can actually be a friend.
He's chosen to forego treatment. Instead, spending his remaining days catching up with loved ones, most of whom are past students.
I'm having the time of my life. This is a great moment. Sure, the body really just isn't working, but the voice is, the brain is, the heart is.
It's with that very heart that Walsh has changed countless people's lives.
A student put it better than I will. He said, you allowed me to find out who I am. You had the decency to treat me as the person you hoped I would become. And that's what teachers should do.
Man, I could talk about Ted Walsh for hours. I do want to say special shout out to Mark and Julie Platt, who made that very special event possible over at Harvard Westlake. Ted Walsh is teaching until this very second, you guys. He's had his former students over at his house working on a book about his favorite film. I think you guys will all agree it makes me appreciate not just him, but all great teachers who dedicate their life to this cause, educating all of us so much more.
Absolutely.
And we all have a Mr. Walsh, I think, in our lives.
Absolutely.
So
that brought
incredible.
tears to my eyes.
James, has he written a book? I mean, those are words of wisdom that could live in perpetuity.
He's working on it to this very, very day, Carson. It's an incredible thing, and he wants everybody to read it.
Oh, that's great.
Absolutely.
Great story.
Jacob, that was
a great
fantastic.
teacher.
News is happening now. Look at what's making headlines around the world.
We're coming on the air with breaking news.
This is a significant moment.
Whenever it happens, wherever you are, NBC News, streaming free now.
We'll meet Ukrainians who are defending their country one block at a time. When you were still in Kiev, could you hear the bombing? My name is Lester. Who's this?
NBC News, streaming free now. To cover the news, you have to be in it. This is how so many towns and cities are protecting themselves. They're pushing the gates open. Was there a school officer on campus? That's what we've been told.
No. Top Story with Tom Yamas. Weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
These days, it feels like the news never stops. So let's get into it. What's happening right now, what it all means for you for an hour every day. It can be hard to keep up, so let's get started together.
Allie Jackson Now. Weekdays at 5 on NBC News Now. For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
Hi, everybody. Good morning. Welcome to Today. This is so healthy. Doesn't it just feel good to be back to school?
It does.
Start today.
We are back with another edition of This Is Today, where we highlight some of the top trending and buzzworthy stories on today.com.
Good morning. These are always so good because it allows us to see what everybody's clicking on.
You know, and I'm
popular.
here with the internet.
All right, so we all know one person draws, you know, when somebody chews with their mouth open, it almost becomes a thing and it can be somewhat annoying, if you will. So you guys tackle that on today.com. There's an answer for that, apparently.
Yeah, Ask Mr. Manners is our food etiquette expert, and he basically says that you have a couple options. You can either A, just like avoid having dinner with this person ever again, or B, you can, there's kind of two tactics. You can either just try to...
That guy's nails are dirty.
We actually did a little test to see how you guys do with chewing with your mouths open, and you all actually passed the test. FYI.
Really?
Yeah, but if you...
I don't.
Oh, well, there's one little mouth open there from Dylan, but really, if you can kind of follow, you can lead by example, or if there's a kid at the table, this is a good trick. You can say, Joey, we don't chew with our mouths open at the dinner table, do we? And that's a good way to kind of hint to the other person.
Remind the adult.
Hey, like remind the adult in the room of good etiquette at the table. But he basically says it's not the hill you want to die on, so you may just have to kind of accept the bad etiquette from your friends.
That's funny.
Speaking of food and, summertime ice cream, and you guys actually did an article ranking ice cream from the worst to the best.
Yes, all 31 of the most
and we have
iconic
some.
flavors,
Okay.
and we have some for you guys. Spoiler alert, caramel
This is
pecan was actually the #1 flavor on this list, which I gotta say, I heard you're a cookie dough girl like me, so our favorite is actually number 26 on the list. Okay. Chanel's a little bit higher, cookies and cream, her favorite is number 9. But at the bottom of the list is cotton candy bubble gum, which our writer on the Today Food team basically says that's that one. Yeah, and she argues it's like, it's basically like the same flavor. And if you want to see the full list, you can scan the QR code. But I don't know, caramel pecan, I'm like, that's not my number one.
About that.
I feel ice cream is objective. I don't know.
My thing with cotton candy is the fun of cotton candy is that it's fluffy and It's not so much the
it's
flavor.
not meant to be an ice cream
Yeah.
flavor.
Okay.
Like it's not meant to
I'll
be
keep eating
cereal,
them.
any
Yeah.
of those things. So from ice cream to exercising.
Bubble gum. Sorry.
Yuck. Oh, is that what
There's a reason that's the last one on the list.
That is so
clearly.
funny.
Why would you want frozen bubble gum? Sorry.
Yeah.
It's like at the bottom of anyway, let me move on to that one. Walking and other leisure activity can boost brain health and reduce dementia risk, that grabs a lot of attention for sure.
Yeah, we've been talking about walking. Al Roker, everyone on our Start Today Walking Challenge. And the good news is if you're into leisurely physical activities like walking, biking, yoga, swimming, it can actually help reduce your risk for dementia by up to 17%.
Wow, that's significant.
Yeah, a new study found that. Also, things like puzzles, crafts, anything that's keeping your mind going can also contribute as well.
That's good.
I'm chewing gum right now. I feel like I'm in like
Great.
Willy Wonka. I actually have gum in my mouth. Okay, this next story really tugged on our heartstrings about a dad and a daughter.
I am obsessed with this story. This teenager is a huge Harry Styles fan, and when her dad surprised her with tickets, not only did he surprise her, but they also went thrift store shopping and got matching outfits, matching cowboy hats. They did their nails together, matching Doc Martens. The Rampersands are just the cutest father-daughter duo, and they're viral everywhere right now. Our reporter Allison Slater Tate talked to them after the Toronto concert, and he says he's not even a huge Harry Styles fan, but he's doing it because his daughter is super into it. It'll make her happy, and it's all about the experience.
He's a huge daughter fan.
Exactly. He's a fan of his daughter, and they're making those
That's why
memories.
Craig got his ears pierced. I mean, what dads will do for their daughters. So last but not least, Meghan Markle, what's happening? Is she speaking? What is she talking
We
about?
just published a story as we speak. So she did an interview with The Cut where she's opening up like she hasn't in some time. She basically revealed to The Cut that she potentially is going to be returning to Instagram, which we know is big news. She's been off of social media for a while now after all of the brouhaha. And she also talks about why she didn't follow royal tradition when it came to releasing photos of her children. She said all of the backlash that she was getting and the name calling her kid got, why would she share photos of her kids with the public before the people she loves?
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
We get it.
It's a great
Well,
interview.
I'm sure that's going to be, all the buzz today. Ariana, as always, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
And for more, you can head to today.com or you can sign up for our new This Is Today newsletter by scanning the QR code right there on your screen. There it is, right there. You'll get the latest in culture, news, pop culture, all that good stuff. And they email it to you every single morning.
Squeeze a lot in there. A lot.
Big time.
Another great show. Come back, join us for more tomorrow on Today.
We'll see you then. Have a great Monday.
Smells so good.
Oh, it smells like pastry. What are you doing? Can we not put your face in the dough? I'm glad it's just us eating it. Hi, everybody, and welcome to Dylan Dishes, Cooking with Cal. I can't wait to take a look back at some of my favorite Cooking with Cal segments and offer just a few of those tips and tricks that didn't quite make it into the original episode. In today's episode, we are all about apples. Everyone in my family loves apples, and I use them in so many different recipes in so many different ways. Just ask Ollie. I love taking the boys apple picking. I don't know why. It ends up being one of the most stressful days. Somebody has to go to the bathroom, somebody's hungry. There's no parking because the apple orchards are so crowded outside of New York City, but I am determined to always take the boys apple picking. I just think it's fun. Once you kind of go along that row and there's nobody else around for a little while and you pick the best apples, you kind of sneak a bite here and there. And the best part is I make so many different things with apples that I love bringing a big bushel of apples home and just seeing what we can do with them. For anyone else who went apple picking recently, here are 2 easy ways to use up all those apples. First up, my crunchy apple salad. Cal has a list of the ingredients you'll need for this recipe. So let's go through the ingredients, okay? What's in our apple salad?
Apple. And zucchini.
Try again, not zucchini.
Salad?
So close.
Celery.
Celery. And what are these? I think you know.
Cranberry.
You've been snacking on those since we started. Do you know what this is?
A nut.
It's a walnut.
Walnut.
And then you know this one.
Yogurt.
Lots of vanilla yogurt. So this apple salad is a perfect after-school snack.
It's a good breakfast. It's just a good, all-around, nice, healthy alternative. How's the yogurt doing? Do you want a spoon? Gross. Help me with the apple. Let me cut it up into a smaller piece for you. You are actually eating all of my ingredients.
No, not that many.
Chop it up nice and small. You're doing a lot more eating than cooking. What's your favorite fruit?
Apple. I'm throwing it because it's really hard.
While you do that, I'm going to chop up the celery.
Okay.
I like to make the celery really small.
Why?
So that it's not too hard to chew. So Kel, when I was little, I used to eat this all the time, every single morning for breakfast.
Was that a long time ago?
It was a long time ago. Even when I first moved to New York, I used to eat it all the time, every morning for breakfast.
Really? That's weird. Mix it up.
Yep, mix it all together. All right, what should we put in next? How about some of these?
Yeah, sure.
Sprinkle those all in there?
I can pour it.
Okay. Perfect. And now let's chop these up a little smaller. Just rock your knife back and forth. Look at how small I made these.
Whoa.
So now we got all our ingredients in here, right? And here's the fun part. There you go.
And this is the medium one or the biggest one?
What, bowl or a spoon?
Spoon.
That's the small one.
I have to lick it off.
Did you have to lick it off?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, because there's yogurt on it.
So you can add as much yogurt as you want. It's not really a measurement here. It's more just once everything is all nice and combined. Sometimes I'll add blueberries in here.
Oh, I have to lick it off.
Oh.
I just eat it off.
So that's it. Super simple, right? I usually make a big bowl of this and then just scoop it out in the morning, or you can divvy it up into little Tupperware containers and it's good to go as a grab-and-go snack.
Are we done?
That's it. That's all we have to do.
Are you gonna taste one?
I'm gonna taste one too.
A taste test?
It's a taste test.
What spoon should I use? Is it healthy?
It's very healthy.
Up next, we are taking apples from sweet to sweeter with one of my favorite fall treats, apple dumplings with a homemade caramel sauce. You don't want to miss this.
Now Tonight with Joshua Johnson, streaming weeknights at 8 on NBC News Now.
Hi, everybody. Good morning. Welcome to Today.
This is so healthy.
Doesn't it just feel good to be back to school?
does.
Start today. Now Tonight with Joshua Johnson, streaming weeknights at 8 on NBC News Now. The day's biggest political stories with trusted insight now and expert analysis now. A daily look at the politics behind the headlines. Meet the Press Now, streaming weekdays at 4 p.m. on NBC News Now.
Welcome back to Today. We got a lot to celebrate on this Wednesday morning. It's good to have you along with us.
You don't know when your moment's coming, but when it does, you take it.
Everybody's good, and that's it.
Live from Ukraine, from Uvalde, Texas, from Mayfield, Kentucky. To cover the news, you have to be in it. This is how so many towns and cities are protecting themselves. You can actually see they're pushing the gates open. Was there a school officer on campus? That's what we've been told. No. Do you remember any tornado as bad as this one? You look at this and you're thinking, we're not going to have power for weeks, if not months. Exactly. Every night, it's your news playlist.
Top Story with Tom Yamas, weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now. For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
These are our missing daughters and sons.
We need anyone who saw something to come forward.
She was wearing a black jacket, a black top.
I'm going to bring my son home alive.
Dateline, Missing in America. Listen to the full season now.
Hallie Jackson Now, weekdays at 5 on NBC News Now.
NBC News, streaming free now.
These are our missing daughters and sons.
We need anyone who saw something to come forward.
She was wearing a black jacket, a black top.
I'm gonna bring my son home alive.
Dateline, Missing in America. Listen to the full season now.
NBC News, streaming free now.
What do you love about fatherhood?
The chaos, the learning. Is climate change one of your top priorities?
What's your message to girls who want to make a difference in their own communities?
Believe in yourself.
Live from Ukraine, from Uvalde, Texas, from Mayfield, Kentucky. To cover the news, you have to be in it. This is how so many towns and cities are protecting themselves. You can actually see they're pushing the gates open. Was there a school officer on campus? That's what we've been told. No. Do you remember any tornado as bad as this one? You look at this and you're thinking, we're not going to have power for weeks, if not months.
Exactly.
Every night, it's your news playlist.
Top Story with Tom Yamas. Weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
These days, it feels like the news never stops. So let's get into it. What's happening right now, what it all means for you for an hour every day. It can be hard to keep up, so let's get started together.
Hallie Jackson Now. Weekdays at 5 on NBC News Now.
News is happening now. Look at what's making headlines around the world.
Right now on Morning News Now.
We're coming on the air with breaking news.
And this is a significant moment.
Whenever it happens, wherever you are, NBC News, streaming free now.
Today is now a podcast, available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back to Dylan Dishes Cooking with Cal. Today's episode is all about using a favorite fall staple, apples. Next up, Cal and I are making apple dumplings with a homemade caramel sauce. This recipe takes a bit more time, a bit more patience, but I promise it's worth it. I first saw this recipe in Better Homes and Gardens' new cookbook. So here's how to make one of my favorite fall treats.
There are a lot of steps, but it's still pretty easy, okay? There's only 3 things. We need the caramel sauce that goes on top. We've got the apples that we're going to fill with this little filling, and we're going to wrap it in pastry dough. So let's get started.
Yeah. This is a hard apple. That's a nice apple.
Let's add the water. You can't eat everything. Pour in the sugar.
Mom?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna do half this cinnamon, not all of it. So I'm gonna bring this up to a boil, and this is gonna be our caramel sauce.
We still have some things to do.
You ready to make the filling? All right, what do you think those are? Walnuts.
Walnuts.
And what are those?
Raisins.
Raisins. And we're gonna add
honey.
Add a tablespoon of honey. This is going to be our filling for the apples. Dump the salt into the flour.
All the salt?
Yeah. Do you know what this is?
Mm-mm.
What do you think it is?
I don't know.
This is called shortening. You want to make the shortening look like little bits of peas in here.
What happens if we eat it?
It would taste disgusting. Ready? Like press it down and twist. There you go. Press and twist. Press it hard. All right, now we're gonna add the half and half.
Now can I pour it? What are we making?
Apple dumplings, remember?
Oh, yummy.
Yeah.
It's a dessert.
It is a dessert.
When it's done, can I eat one of it?
Of course.
And you?
Yes.
Smell it so good.
Oh, it smells like pastry. What are you doing? Can we not put your face in the dough? I'm glad it's just us eating it. All right, here we go with our dough.
Oh no, we make the hole.
No, don't make a hole.
Why?
Because no more holes, no holes. I need you to start here and end all the way over here. Nice. Put the apple here. Can you take a little bit of this?
This is our standard hiding spot.
A little cinnamon sugar. I'm gonna pour this sauce over the dumplings. Carefully. Do you love it? Okay, so if you want to make this apple dumpling recipe right away, you might be thinking I don't have an apple core like I used, but there is a way you can just cut right through the apple. It's tedious, I'll tell you that. In fact, I held off making this recipe until I ordered one of these. Wherever you get, kitchen supplies, it's an easy order. Just wait a couple days until it gets there. But if you don't have patience, just be careful. And I wouldn't recommend doing this part with the kids because you need a very sharp knife and you literally just have to cut around the core of the apple. So make sure you go all the way to the bottom. This is probably the worst part of the whole recipe, is coring the apple. Sure we get to the other side. My kids eat a lot of apples, and whether I'm slicing them or dicing them or doing whatever it is with apples, there's just no good way to get the seeds out. But this works pretty well. Okay, so you can either do it that way if you don't have patience, although I think this way is the way to go. So this is what an apple core does. Basically the same thing the knife did, just in all one big swoop. And get it in there. Twist it, pull it up. And there you go. That was easier, right? So I'd recommend just holding off a couple days on this recipe and wait till you get your apple core. Because that's perfect. So to core the apple with a knife, you want to make sure you use a paring knife. They're nice and sharp, they're tiny. If you use anything bigger, I feel like you're going to cut the whole apple up. And a steak knife would just never work for this. So get yourself a paring knife too.
For all these recipes, go to today.com/DylanDishes.
I'll do the chocolate chips. No, I want to. No. Fine. Yay. Let's pour it at the same time, Alexander. 3, 2, 1. Whee! My name's Alexander Charbonnet, and this is Kids in the Kitchen. My name is Alexander Charbonnet. I'm 7 years old, and I'm in 2nd grade. I started cooking when I was 5 for my mom and my dad and my sister. I started my cooking channel 2 years ago when I was 5.
Hi guys, hi friends, welcome to my show. Kids Can Cook with Chef Alexander. We are making banana muffins with no egg, because I'm allergic to egg.
My egg allergy makes me sad, but I'm more sad because I can't eat stuff like other people. Because of my allergy, I can't eat cookies or donuts or like cakes or like a lot of stuff. My mom is awesome because she makes eggless stuff like cookies, cupcakes, and regular cakes. But my mom and I bring treats like cookies without egg to school with me so I can enjoy it with my friends. My little sister has a peanut allergy. She can have like peanut butter and jelly, so I feel like she's special too. My mom was the one who taught me how to cook. My favorite part of cooking is I get to spend special time with my mom cooking. My favorite hobbies are playing video games, riding my bike, riding my scooter. I also really love dinosaurs. Here's a fact of some dinosaurs. Did you know that the Allosaurus doesn't have serrated teeth, and it actually uses a jaw. He opens his mouth and he slashes his upper jaw into its prey like a hammer.
We are making chocolate donut cakes. So we have this flour, so we're gonna dump it into the sieve.
I want to be a pastry chef because I'm already a pastry chef. I am so excited because today we are making eggless Trini, macaroni pie, and blender muffins with apples, bananas, and carrots. First, we're gonna start with the macaroni pie. Here's everything we need to start with. We got butter, we got olive oil, cut up onions, onion powder, garlic powder, black pepper, flour, mustard, cheese, salt, but we also need elbow and and milk. First, we're gonna make the cheese sauce. First, we're gonna melt the butter and the olive oil over medium heat. Now the next step where you need to add the onions. Make sure you cook it for a few minutes because we don't want the smell of the onions to make us cry. The next step, you need to add the flour and you need to make a roux. A roux is fat mixed with flour. You need to whisk it so it doesn't give that raw flour taste. That would taste horrible. This is what's gonna thicken the sauce since I'm not using egg. Now we need to add the milk to the pot, but make sure to add it slowly because we don't want it to spot all over the place. Now we need to whisk it until it's fully incorporated. Next, we're gonna add the mustard. Now we're ready to put in the spices. We got our onion powder, the garlic powder in, and the black pepper in. And the salt, let's put in the salt too. Bubbling, it looks like lava. This is what we're looking for. I wish you guys can smell this, because it really smells good. Now for the best part, we put in the cheese. Now we're going back to mixing. The sauce looks like this. This is a little hot, so you know who I need? Mommy! Almost there, up. It's important to incorporate the pasta into the cheese sauce. We're gonna put in a greased baking dish and then we're gonna top it off with cheese. This looks great. Now we're just gonna add some cheese on the top. I need to pop this in the oven, so I need to call Mom again. Mom!
Oh, it looks good. Okay, I'm gonna open the oven.
Okay. Thanks, Mom.
Oh no, thank you. Good job.
We're gonna let it bake for 25 or 30 minutes. This looks awesome. It wouldn't be complete without my favorite person. Yeah.
We come from a long line of foodies in our family, a long line of cooks, and you're just carrying on that tradition by continuing to be one of the chefs in our family.
Live from Ukraine, from Uvalde, Texas, from Mayfield, Kentucky. To cover the news, you have to be in it. This is how so many towns and cities are protecting themselves. You can actually see they're pushing the gates open. Was there a school officer on campus? That's what we've been told. No. Do you remember any tornado as bad as this one? You look at this and you're thinking, we're not going to have power for weeks, if not months. Exactly. Every night, it's your news playlist.
Top Story with Tom Yamas. Weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
We'll meet Ukrainians who are defending their country one block at a time. When you were still in Kiev, could you hear the bombing? My name is Lester. Who's this?
Now we're gonna make one of my favorite recipes, blender muffins without egg. They have apples, carrots, and bananas. But to help me, I'm gonna have my sister, Natalie. Come on. Boing. So we're gonna introduce yourself, Natalie.
Okay, so my name is Natalie, and I'm going in kindergarten soon. And my favorite food is fruits and vegetables. I'm 5. And I'm Alexander's sister. My nickname is Peanut.
And her nickname's Peanut, but she has a peanut allergy. But this also has no eggs, so it's...
Isn't that funny, guys?
Now we have this big mixing bowl. So now we're gonna put in all our dry ingredients.
Let's start with the flour.
Put in the brown sugar. Oh, flop. Oh, there's still some. Oh, there you go.
Put it back.
Now we need to put in the white sugar.
Now we
put in baking
soda,
powder. And
my
now
turn.
Let's put in baking soda.
Now let's put in some in, like for cinnamon rolls. Let's make blender muffins. Mix up. Agitate around.
Okay.
Your turn.
Now we need the blender, and now we're gonna ask Mom for the blender.
Mom.
Now we're gonna add the apples, the carrots, and bananas to the blender. Let's start with the apples.
Yeah.
Plop.
Plop. Time for carrot time.
We're gonna put in the carrots.
And guys, in case you know, these are for our bunnies, but we use them for baking now. Let's put the banana peel right.
Break it in half and then put the other half in. That might be smart.
Banana float. It looks weird.
Wonder.
I'm trying to get the ones on the back. Maybe we should do it together. Let's mix and agitate, agitate, agitate. Let's mix and agitate. Let's do that.
Now let's add.
I'll add the butter.
Vanilla and let's do it. 3, 2, 1. Wow. Wow.
I'll do the chocolate chips.
No, I want to.
No.
Fine. Let's pour it out at the same time, Andre. 3, 2, 1, whee! Wait, the oats. Ooh, this looks good. Now we have our muffin tin. Yep. We get to spray our muffin tin. Yeah, we need to do it 3/4 way full. How about you scoop it and I put it in? These are ready to go in the oven now. And now let's get Mom. Now it's gonna take 18 to 22 minutes. Bye, we'll see you on the next step. Oh my gosh, they're done. Now we have to call Mom. Mommy. Some of them are small and some of them are ginormous. Oh my gosh, I just want to gobble them all up in my mouth. These have been cooling for 10 minutes, so they're ready to eat. Alden, you did awesome, John. High five. Teamwork makes the yummy dream.